Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Casual Sports Podcast. I'm your host this week, Alec Caberna. Joined with me, as always,
Matt Morrison
and Mike Wolfgang.
We got another great podcast on hand to you today. Running down it, we're going to start with college football, move on to some breaking news that we got coming in and out. We got NBA draft coming up later this week. We're going to go into details on that. And free agency. So we got our top 10 picks lined out. We have the release of the Casual Sports Podcast. College football top 12, finally back on the podcast after our 2-week delay. We had some other personal issues going on, but we're back. We're back into it. We're going strong the next few weeks. YSG is going to be going all online after the Thanksgiving break. We're still going to meet in person for the shows afterwards, but expect the week of the 13th, 14th, we're going to start experimenting with some new things. We might try doing some online one, so make sure to stick with us as we go through that. Before we get into the podcast, make sure to check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Anchor, Spotify. Just type in Casual Sports Report, give us a follow, like our videos, share our videos. It helps us so much if you guys start sharing our content, because that helps us be able to make more of it. And make sure to leave feedback too. We want to know what you guys are thinking, what you guys are talking about. It just helps us, and it'll make these videos so much better in the future. So without any further ado though, let's get into it. College football. They've been giving us some good matchups. Unfortunately, though, this last Saturday, I think 4 of the top 5 teams were not in action due to COVID-19. Alabama was out. Clemson was out. Ohio State was out. Texas A&M was out. They're now missing again next week without a game due to COVID-19. So COVID's running rampant. So actually, our top few teams haven't really changed that much because most teams just weren't in action this week. So we'll make sure to get into that too.
Most of the big boys weren't in action. It's not
right.
Like most of the big name brands in college football were out.
And even the other teams that are good this season, they just weren't in act. I mean, they weren't facing anybody good. There really wasn't any great matchups this week, but we did have an upset. Tulsa upset SMU. It was a pretty good game. But now SMU, 2 losses on the season. You can say bye-bye to the American Conference, most likely. Cincinnati's wrapping that thing up.
Oh, it looks like
they're dominating the American right now. BYU's looking good, too. 8-0 now, the Cougars. And that's Zach Wilson.
Yeah, Heisman candidate. I was watching a couple of highlights from him. I didn't get to watch the game, but looks solid. Looks pretty good.
He is a phenomenal quarterback. Even if he doesn't win the Heisman this year, which I don't think he will, he's currently in 5th place at that. Ahead of him, actually, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Trevor Lawrence, and Kyle Trask, all tied at plus 150 for the Heisman. They're all tied for first place in the Heisman odds. It's going to be very close. Frankly, it's going to come down to conference championship weeks, most likely.
Well, that's what it normally seems to come down to, but you never had like that many candidates for it for number one, and they're all within... They're so close, like you were saying.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, let's take a pause here. We got some breaking news going on. So, just announced from the NCAA men's basketball tournament, March Madness, they're already talking about what's happening. I just saw it on the bottom ticker for ESPN here. March Madness is all going to be hosted at one single site. Right now, preliminary talks are with Indianapolis. As kind of expected. That is like March Madness' holy land is Indy.
Yep.
So the entire thing going to be held there. Obviously, preliminary talks starting already, but could be exciting moving forward. All in one event, all in one place.
We'll have to see if that's something they keep in mind for the future.
Yeah, I mean, college basketball starting up here in a few weeks as well, so we're going to start talking about that coming in.
Under 2 weeks, I think we've got to go.
Hopefully, Hopefully, Penn State gets back in like they did last year.
Yeah, you guys need some sort of
Give us
sports
something
program
to
going.
Yeah, we
on
need some
there.
kind of sports program.
Well, they picked it up last year, but they lost Stevens and all that. But we'll talk about college basketball
talk about that,
at a different time. But
I mean,
we just need
we'll
something
all
for
be
it.
getting into that very shortly here. I mean, everything's about to kick off. We got the NBA that just kicked off, which we'll talk about coming up shortly here. Back to college football, though. First time Indiana has been ranked inside of the top 10 in 50 years. Matt, you got a little more on that?
Yes, the last time was 1969. Their head coach was, what did we see, John Pont, I think?
Yeah, John Pont was head coach.
That was the last coach to lead Indiana to the Rose Bowl.
That's just 50
I didn't even know
years.
Rose Bowl. And I think that when they beat Penn State, that was their first top 10 win in like 50
Yeah,
years. too.
yeah, since like 1989
So it's been a while
or
since they've had this type of success.
Yeah.
But biggest matchup of the season coming up for the number 9 Hoosiers. They're taking on number 3 Ohio State,
Yeah.
the Buckeyes. Ohio State is coming in as a 20-point favorite for this noon kickoff on Fox this Saturday. Oddshark right now, obviously 20-point favorite for Ohio State. Prediction final score from them was 45-23.
I agree.
What
with
are your
that.
guys' thoughts? Does Indiana actually have a chance?
I think they have potential to make it a game, but I mean, this we talked about this year. It doesn't really matter who's at home and all that. I mean, I know Ohio State's at home, but they've been in these type of games before. Every time they're playing a team that's like on the rise, they just shut them out. Not shut them out, but they kind of just show them that who they are. But Indiana's played good this year, but I just don't think they have what it takes to keep up with Ohio State.
I think anybody in this game, in this day and age, always has a chance. Okay.
Obviously, they always got a chance.
Oh, I agree with that. Yeah.
Purdue and Ohio State.
Iowa back-to-back
Yeah.
seasons.
So you can never count anybody out. So I think Indiana's going to give them a run for their money.
Oh, I think they have a shot, but
I mean,
I don't know if it's gonna be close.
All right. So, since me being the
Yeah, I
big
think
Buckeye
it is.
here, let me dive into this. Obviously, if you guys want to hear more about my thoughts on this game, make sure to tune in to Breakdown. It'll be coming out Friday. That's when I record. That's our newest production. It is my solo show where I detail all college football that's going down, the biggest matchups. Last week, I wasn't expecting it to go as long as it did, but it ended up being 30 minutes.
I noticed that.
I was expecting, like,
Week
I'll
before
just...
was like 10 minutes. I'm like, all right. Next
Yeah,
week.
I had the 10 minutes because I was Breakdown was doing the Casual Sports Podcast Top 12 since we couldn't do it.
I clicked on it without looking how much was there, and I was playing it. And I'm like, it's been like 15 minutes. I'm like, oh my God!
I'm only halfway. You should imagine me recording and me sitting there like, how am I, what? At the 20-minute mark, I'm like, I still got like 2 pages to go. I wasn't expecting to do my own like hour-long podcast with it, but here are my thoughts on Ohio State, Indiana. So Indiana earlier this season had lost 41 straight games to Michigan. They beat Michigan in a landslide. Obviously, Michigan is bad.
We thought they had potential. The first
We thought.
first
They
week,
had potential.
like we always do every year, we thought they had potential to maybe do something this year. But
Right.
They beat Minnesota, who they're certainly not rowing the boat this year either.
Yep.
So,
But back to me now.
go
yeah,
ahead.
Sorry.
Indiana and Ohio State. It's the most one-sided matchup in the Big Ten's history. Ohio State has won 96% of every matchup against Indiana in football. They have won 44 straight times against Indiana. But Indiana already broke one of those streaks because Michigan had won 41. Indiana's offense is clicking. Their defense is clicking. Now they've had an extra week to prepare against Ohio State because they got to play in action.
Yeah.
Ohio State had to take a break against Maryland, which, if you actually go and look at that Ohio State-Maryland game, Ohio State may have been in trouble because Taulia Tagovailoa was starting to heat up.
They've been playing pretty good this year.
And Maryland gave Ohio State a run for its money, last year.
Last year, yeah.
And actually, no, it was the year before that with Dwayne Haskins as the starting
I
quarterback.
can't remember if it was last year or the year before, but there was one. Last couple years, I mean, Indiana kind of played Ohio State a little close. I mean, Ohio State ended up winning, but it was. I thought it was going to be a blowout, but they kind of hung around. But yeah, last week with Maryland could have been interesting against Ohio State because, I mean, I know Penn State's depleted this year and they got a lot going on, but They pretty much dominated Penn State, and they've been looking pretty solid this year. So it could have been an interesting.
Both of these teams. I mean, the whole thing with Indiana right now is, are they actually legit? Because
we don't know.
They won against Penn State on what many considered a bad call, a fluke. He wasn't in, and frankly, you can argue that. So their best win is like, well, was it really a win?
Yeah. Well,
this is Indiana's chance to prove it. If they don't have to beat Ohio State. They just have to finish this one close. And then people will be like, all right, this team's legit. They can stay inside of the top. They're only 9th. If they lose and it's close, they'll fall to 11th or 12th. That's probably the realism we're looking at. Because they're already coming in as a 20-point underdog.
Yeah.
So everyone's saying they don't stand a chance.
And like you were saying, with their best win being against Penn State, at the end of the game when it was very controversial, many believe that they should have lost on that call. And then, ever since then, it's just Penn State. They opened up as a 10-point, in the top 10 to begin the season. Right. They lost all 4 games they played. So you can make an argument. Yeah, they beat Penn State, but it was on a call at the end when a lot of people think that it shouldn't have counted. And a team that's been very bad this year in Penn State. So what is their best win?
Let me add there that was not a touchdown. I really believe that it wasn't, but they shouldn't have let them.
Indiana shouldn't have been in the spot to lose that game.
Indiana deserved to win that game.
Yeah, but Indiana fought that one tooth and nail in Penn State. It's the call. You can't leave the game up to referees. When you do that, you're going to lose 100% of the time.
Yeah.
That's what happened to Ohio State against Clemson.
Yeah.
In the college football semifinals last year.
But that's another story.
Right, that's another story. Ohio State lost the game. Clemson didn't win. Ohio State lost.
Like we said, there was calls.
And sometimes that happens.
There was calls that probably should have gone Ohio State's way, but how many times were in the red zone? They kicked field goals.
Right, 3 times. That's how you start the game. 3 straight field goals.
Right.
All right. If you want to hear me go more in depth on the Ohio State-Indiana game, make sure to tune in to Breakdown this Friday. I'm going to be talking all college football on there, so make sure to tune in.
And one more thing on that game.
Go ahead.
Like I was just saying, when you're in the red zone like that, against good teams, you got to score touchdowns. That's what Indiana has to do. I know it's easier said than done, but you got to win this game, you can't be getting in the red zone and kicking field goals. You got to put the ball in the end zone.
Exactly.
And that's when it's going to
It's also Ohio State's biggest game of the season. Yeah. And actually, this is the de facto Big Ten East championship game right here. The top 2 teams. Winner of this one, most likely taking the Big Ten East and going to the Big Ten championship game
probably against Wisconsin.
Well,
or Northwestern.
Well, perhaps, yes. So Wisconsin and Northwestern are tied for first place as well over in the West. Indiana and Ohio State over in the East. Kind of a shock to see the Big Ten this year so far.
Yeah, it's been very not like we're used to seeing it.
The landscape sure is changing. This one's more of a local game that we're talking about next. 0-2 Akron taking on the 2-0 Kent State Golden Flashes. It's the biggest rivalry, the second biggest rivalry in the state for college football. Obviously, number 1 is that Ohio State, that team up north.
Michigan, I'll say it.
Ugh, disgusts me to say it. It disgusts me when I have to put it in a tweet or something because I do our Twitter page. When I do a tweet and I have to put that team up north's name, it hurts me. I know not everybody will understand if I just go TTUN. So, I'm also trying to get those Twitter keywords out there so you guys can see them. But Akron Kent this weekend, or actually not this weekend, it'll be the day this podcast comes out, Tuesday at 8 p.m. on ESPN. Kent State actually coming out as a 24-point favorite.
Is that what
Akron.
It is?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know too many. Actually, I know one player from Kent State. Kent State coming off their first ever bowl game last season.
And they won that one. I forget
and they won,
but they did win. I remember that.
It was crazy that they actually won. It was only their 3rd bowl game ever in history. But now coming up against Akron. Obviously, rivalry games are exciting no matter what. Make sure to watch that tonight. We can't really go into too much detail on that just because there's not a lot out there for those 2 teams. Everyone knows they're kind of bottom feeders normally. But maybe Kent, after their bowl game victories, making a revival of the program.
Yeah, MAC teams always usually play pretty tough, and their games are usually
MAC
pretty.
teams create a lot of great NFL players.
They do.
They do too.
And the thing is, MACtion is fantastic. Best thing that happened to weekdays. And we're at the point of the year you can't go a single night without football on, whether it's NFL or college. Because right now, Monday night, we have Monday Night Football. Tuesday, MACtion. Wednesday, MACtion. Thursday, MACtion and the NFL. Friday, we have tons of college football on. Saturdays, college football Saturdays, obviously.
Yep.
Sundays, you're going back to the NFL.
Yep.
Literally, right now, every day of the week, there is football on.
Yes.
And I am so happy.
And you gotta love it. Because we didn't know if we'd have it this year.
Right, we didn't know if we have it. And frankly, at this point, with the way COVID is going, watch it while you still can. We don't know how long at any moment, this season could be done like that.
Yep.
Just over. So make sure to keep tuning in with that. Akron Kent tonight, 8 p.m. on ESPN. Next up, Matt, I know you wanted to talk about this team. We'll let you go last on this subject.
Okay.
That team up north, Jim Harbaugh and the Wolverines, losing again.
Another big game.
They are awful. Matt, we'll get to that in a minute here.
Okay.
Jim Harbaugh now 37-5 against unranked teams. That's pretty good, I would say, right? 37-5 unranked opponents. That's what you're expected to do.
Yep.
Maybe he's lost a few ones, but what head coach hasn't lost a few here and there?
Everybody does. Nobody's perfect.
But he's 7-12 against ranked Big Ten teams and 11-16 against ranked teams. They are awful. Abysmal. It's embarrassing to watch that team when they go up against a top 25 opponent.
Because you know what's going to happen. I mean, it doesn't surprise us.
That team up north has also yet to win a game coming in as the underdog.
That's something they got to do.
And what's this? Harbaugh's 7th season now?
6th or 7th, something like that.
6th or 7th.
Something like that.
With that team up north. Top 10 highest paid coach in college football. I talked about this on Breakdown on Friday. Jim Harbaugh is supposed to be this great coach. He's supposed to be the savior of Michigan. And yet he can't get it done. And he's having issues every week. We don't know. I mean, it's kind of hard to say what the issues are. Matt, what was that?
That's 5 years, I think. I think this is since 2015.
Okay, so this would be his 6th season, I think, officially.
Oh, no, go ahead. Finish your point.
ahead.
Were you in on something still?
Everyone knows the story of Jim Harbaugh.
I was going to say,
we all know what's
Harbaugh,
going on.
I agree that he can't get it done. Maybe it is time to move on. But I ask this question every time in every sport when a coach is on the hot
Is there
seat.
someone better?
Who are you going to find?
Yeah.
I just don't know.
He had great success at Stanford, and he led a team to the Super Bowl.
Right.
I think you should stick with him. But I have more to talk about that. But
Okay, so let me go into recruiting numbers here for a minute. Michigan, this is what I was talking about on Breakdown. They're always in the top 10 when it comes to recruiting. Always top 3 in the Big Ten when it comes to recruiting. But once they get to the program, there is no development.
No, there isn't.
They're not producing anybody that goes to the NFL on offense.
No.
And
No.
that has to go to the blame of Jim Harbaugh's pro-style offense. Obviously, this year they decided to switch it up, and it has been working for them. They are still stagnant, they're still not scoring, and they're still boring to watch. Right now, they're one of the most boring teams to watch, and I think really the only one more boring is Georgia. Because I cannot watch a Georgia football game right now. They are the most boring offense to watch. With Stetson Bennett, who, great quarterback, but because
great story too, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
But since the way he works with this offense, he's too short for their offense, and that's the issue.
Yeah.
He's not a bad quarterback, but with the SEC and their style of offense, he's not fitting well. And there's clear issues with the way that team is scoring points, and it's not working. They've won. They've had no issues winning. But when it comes down to it, they're having too many issues with Stetson Bennett there, and it's just boring to watch. But that team up north, they got to turn this around. Mike, what were you going to say?
Well, just think about the head coaching. I mean, like I said, I always ask it every time a coach is on the hot seat in any sport. Who are you going to find that's better?
Okay, do you want me to answer that?
Yeah.
So this actually came from one of our Twitter replies the other week. This actually came from my uncle. He had said Luke Fickell.
But is he going to leave Cincinnati, though?
Well, that was the question mark. Because, there's $9 million on the table potentially for a guy like Luke Fickell to leave a number 6 team in Cincinnati.
It's something he's spent a couple years building.
Yeah, he has built that program.
And they've done a very good job.
So here's the question. Would you rather be the guy that takes the team up north to the college football playoff, or would you rather be the first head coach to take a group of 5 team to the college football playoff? I mean, on one side, there's history with the program.
No,
on the other side, there's college football history.
Yes.
But also look at the contracts. Luke Fickell is only making about $1 to $1.5 million at Cincy. If he was to go to that team up north, he'd be making about $5 to $8 million.
Yeah, because Harbaugh's getting what, $8 million a year now?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot per year for not getting the job done.
That's just like a $6 million raise?
Yeah.
I think Luke Fickell is the obvious choice. If there's a team that's looking for who's the next best head coach, and the Big Ten has been great on capitalizing on these coaches. Think, P.J. Fleck took the Western Michigan football team, undefeated, very next season he gets hired by Minnesota.
And they turned around quickly.
Scott Frost made UCF into an unstoppable program, who's still up there. They're still doing fine.
Yeah.
He gets signed immediately by Nebraska. Lovie Smith was a pretty good head coach. Haven't been able to turn around for Illinois, but Big Ten capitalized. They see one of those head coaches starting up, they grab them in immediately.
Same thing with James Franklin.
Yeah, James Franklin.
At
I was going to go with
Vandy.
that too next.
Didn't he lead them to bowl games?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, he turned them around. They were actually competitive.
Yeah.
And look at Vanderbilt now. Suck.
yeah.
That's where I was going to go next with James Franklin. I mean, I know people were kind of talking about...
Well, let's stay with Luke Fickell before we talk about that.
Okay.
We'll get there, Mike. We'll get there.
Do you think Luke Fickell would actually be willing to leave his program that he has built in Cincinnati to go to that team up north?
I don't know,
Before you answer,
go ahead.
Luke Fickell's still a Buckeye.
Oh, yeah.
He's a Buckeye at heart. He hates that team up north.
I was going to go there,
too.
too.
The Buckeye,
Yeah.
right?
I was going to go there, too. And, like, especially with where he's at in Cincinnati, like, they're just getting underway now. Like, this is their...
Desmond Ridder is an NFL caliber quarterback. The question is, what happens to recruiting after Desmond Ridder leaves this year?
That's something to consider, too. But, last year they were good last year. But this year they've just gone all out this year, and they've proven that they can be that group of five that gets in for the first time.
And they have
is he
not
going to
just
leave
this
that
year
though?
though.
Is he going to want to leave that? I don't know. And especially like you said, from being from Ohio State, is he going to want?
And he's already turned down a Big Ten. Lombardi might have the greatest name in college football history, but he's probably one of the not greatest quarterbacks in Michigan State history. I don't want to call him the worst because he's had some good moments, but he's not living up to his name. I mean, Rocky Lombardi, come on, that's got to be the best name ever.
That is the best name ever.
I mean, there's maybe a few that can match that, but Rocky Lombardi's best. So the question still remains: does Luke Fickell break his Buckeye loyalty? Does he go take $6 million and go to that team up north? Does he leave his franchise that he's been building?
No, what about, I mean, we've seen this before. What about Bo Schembechler? He was an Ohio State assistant.
Right, that's what everybody keeps turning to.
He hated Michigan, and then he went there. So,
and he made them beat Ohio State.
Yeah.
And is their greatest head coach of all time.
Yeah.
Non-arguable. There's no other head coach in their history that has even matched him. So, Matt, I'll let you take over here for this discussion on that team up north. I know you had some thoughts on this. Go ahead.
So what was that saying? They are unaware of their situation, okay? Makes it... I think so.
Okay.
That's what makes them look kind of, ridiculous.
Ridiculous?
Yeah, don't make fun of me, okay?
You always say that word wrong. Sorry, I have to.
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, there you go. All right, go ahead.
All right, it always makes them look like that. So there's a couple things that need to happen to make them aware of the situation. Okay, they need to fire somebody. Okay, you need to fire Jim Harbaugh, or they need to go and fire either Don Brown, which I think would be a horrible mistake. You can add in on that. I mean, probably one.
I'll let you finish, and I'll go into that.
Either him or Josh Gaddis, because
didn't they just bring in Josh Gaddis though? Isn't this his first or second season now?
Yeah, I feel like he
was just hired because they brought him in, and Harbaugh was like, offensive play calling is going to be mixed in. Josh Gaddis is going to take most of it because Josh Gaddis was supposed to come in and basically turn their pro style offense into more of a pro spread offense.
Last year, he was there last year.
Okay, so this is now Josh Gaddis' second season. Here's my thing. So, and unless you have more to add?
No, they need to make themselves aware. I don't believe they should fire Jim Harbaugh, probably one of the best coaches of all time. You got to put him up there a little bit.
For Michigan.
For Michigan. But I think they need to make a couple changes within the organization. I think they need to
Organizational changes. All right. So
I
here are
agree
my
with that. I
thoughts
agree with
on the coordinators and the Harbaugh situation. Like Mike said, who else are you going to get to come in as head coach? Probably nobody big.
Urban Meyer, he'll come.
That would never
I
happen.
doubt
Oh man.
Unless you want to see riots,
Yeah.
Meyer would not go. Unless he did it straight for the fact that he wants to just destroy the program and make them god-awful and steal their money for 3 years.
Or he just wants to coach again, but he's not going to do that.
If he wants to coach again, he'll go to place like USC.
He'll really have a heart attack if he goes to Michigan.
Right. So here's my thought. Like Harbaugh, we talked about Harbaugh. It's beating a dead horse at this point. He's on the hot seat. He's got to do something. Whether that's bringing in a big transfer or signing a great draft class, he's got to do something there. Offense coordinator Josh Gaddis, I give him another year. This year was so weird with trying to. It was so hard for any team to try and put in a new program or a new offensive style.
Well, they didn't have
because there were no off-season training camps. Spring practices were so minimal. Teams basically Big Ten got a little bit extra.
I mean, your meetings are Zoom meetings. Like
You can't implement
you
new
have to
things
be
in
there
Zoom
to see
meetings.
it, right.
Exactly. It's so hard to do. So give Josh Gaddis the pass this year, I think. Wait till next year, because last year we saw their offense was a lot better.
Well, I'll go as far as to give Harbaugh a pass this year too. I mean, I'm giving most of these college football teams a pass this year because it's
James
just so
Franklin
weird.
gets the pass, which we'll talk about here in a minute.
Yeah, we'll save that. Go ahead.
Don Brown. Don Brown is consistently one of the best defensive coordinators in all of college football. If we look at this defense year after year, which defense ranks in the top 5 nationally the past 5 years? That team up north. That's Don Brown. Think of some of his most recent guys he sent to the NFL as well.
Devin
Bush, who's dominant.
Yep.
Jabril Peppers, who's pretty good.
He's getting there.
He needs more development, I think, still. Then Chase Winovich, who's been pretty good on the Patriots, made a big play on Sunday night, too.
He's a starter, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's been, last year he was pretty decent, too.
They're still not sending a lot of guys to the NFL. Not a lot of them are producing or starting.
I mean, like you said, there's some good ones, but
the ones that are starting, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
And then if we're looking at this team statistically, it's like, well, this defense is the only reason they've been winning half their games over the past 4 years.
But there's nobody offensively.
They don't have an offensive counterpart that helps them.
They don't develop guys to get in the NFL that are actually good.
Defense wins championships, but if your offense can't score, you can't get to the championship.
Right.
You need the offense to get you to the championship, then you need your defense to win that championship.
Right.
That's how football works. And that's when people say, oh, defense doesn't win championships, offense does. I'm like, well, offense gets you there. Defense
it's 50-50.
seals the deal.
Yeah.
Don Brown, you can't fire this guy.
No.
Because you know what happens if you fire Don Brown? He's becoming a head coach at Michigan State, and he's kicking your rear end the next 4 years. Because he knows your entire program inside and out.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, if he goes somewhere else, first game on that team schedule is going to be that team up north.
That'd be funny.
Okay, that's my thoughts on the Don Brown situation and just that team up north. Penn State, first time they're 0-4 since 2001. They're abysmal. They suck. They've done nothing.
They're horrible.
They've done nothing offensively or defensively. They couldn't stop a rock.
Their problem is they just look so bad the first quarter or two, and then they try to come back, and they have come back, but they just can't finish it off. Like you can't start out that
we'll let
slow.
you go last on this one. I know you got some few things.
But I'm going to say the Franklin stuff. That's a different topic. But I mean, you got to keep. I mean, there's no excuse for being 0-4, but you got to keep in mind that they've lost their top 2 running backs. Micah Parsons didn't play this year.
But that's no reason to suck. Go on for it. It's always next.
I'm not making an excuse for being 0-4, but they have lost a lot.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Their receiving core.
Drew Brown retired. Kane's hurt. Like you said, Micah Parsons. But I mean, they have Shaka Tony. I think.
I mean, offensively,
Shaka Tony. I mean, he's still great.
Offensively, but their corners aren't that good, and their secondary is not that good, and their receiving core. I mean, you have Dotson.
They have Pat Freiermuth,
but they can't get. They can't get the ball.
I'll talk more about it in a second. Just go ahead.
Their receiving core. I mean, you have Dotson, like I said, but they still have a bunch of young guys. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt because I mean, you have
Parker Washington.
He's going to be good, but
who's the other guy? 13. I forget his name.
But anyway, you have Pat Freiermuth. I mean, it's a good thing he came back, but you can't get the ball to him. I mean, what's he supposed to do?
No.
And then, there's a lot of talk about, Michael Parsons opted out. Michael Parsons couldn't save this team.
No.
It's a total team issue. And Matt and I actually recorded an episode of Keeping It Casual that never came out due to the coronavirus. So we had recorded a Big Ten preview. Mm-hmm. And it was a pretty good episode. I wish we could have put it out. It ended up never coming out, though, because the Big Ten schedule, we had gone over game by game. I did a ton of analysis for this, ton of work. Yeah. Probably one of the most work we put into a single episode of Keeping It Casual. A lot of work. I think I had 7 or 8 of just notes for that. In that video, I had asked you the question, is this a reload or a rebuild year? And that question has finally been answered. It's a rebuilding year.
It is.
And you know what? Not every team's Clemson, Alabama, or Ohio State.
You got to have a rebuild every couple years.
You guys have been good for 4 or 5 years. You've put up good seasons. Okay, you have one bad one. Rebuild. Go in, get your young guys the work. I'm sorry, but your seniors are going to sit. I know you want to play these guys that have been there, but if they're not going to be there next year, I'm sorry. You got to start getting the young guys to work. Yes. Let your young guys take over. See what you can do. Get them real in-game reps. It's the most valuable thing in college football is in-game reps.
And especially now you got 4 games
because you can't replicate them.
I mean, what do you got to lose now?
Right. You can't replicate it. And I think like a bowl game at this point would almost be embarrassing for you guys.
Yeah.
I don't even want them to get
right.
I mean, I don't think they can, but
they're saying bowl games are happening, but I think that's the biggest up-in-the-air question. There's no way we can have a bowl game right now. If conferences can't even schedule against each other, you think we're going to send teams all over the country?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like teams are going to be invited, and they're going to be like, we've been invited to participate in this year's GoDaddy Bowl.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, unless you get one of the New Year's Day Bowls are going to happen, those are money makers. They bring in so much cash to universities and stuff. And conferences are going to let those happen because those things bring in millions.
Yeah.
And especially with all the money they've lost already this season. But I don't know. I think you got to let your young guys start performing. Put in Will Levis. He showed some promise. You already said you already showed you don't have confidence in Sean Clifford to come back. I mean, you already took him out.
You see what Levis did last year against Ohio State. I mean, I know they didn't prepare for him, but still, I mean, he and then coming in this week, I mean, he's
what do you have to lose?
He's only a sophomore.
What do you have to lose?
Nothing.
Exactly.
All right.
I mean, I said at the beginning of the year, just
Go
real quick.
Go ahead.
I said at the beginning of the year, I really wasn't expecting much out of them this year anyways. I mean, and this year, I don't want to, just because they're bad, it really doesn't bother me because, like I said, this year's so different with everything going on, and they're only playing 8 games, and, guys opted out. So this year, I said from the start, I did think it was a rebuild year.
Yeah.
Or maybe just reload or whatever you want to call it, but I didn't expect much coming out of them this year anyways.
Well, if you guys do want to see the unreleased version of the Big Ten preview that we recorded over the summer, let us know. Tweet us, put it in the comments. If you want the video out, we'll put it out anyways, and we might put it out at the end of the season just to see this is what we thought was going to happen, then this is what actually happened. Yeah. We might record a separate, like a video, I'll take clips from that, and then we'll talk about it on the recap, basically. That may be something we do over the spring. If you guys want the video to come out, it'll come out, I promise you. With James Franklin, though, I don't think anyone's saying fire him. Right?
No! One bad season is not enough. Okay.
It's the same situation with Harbaugh. Who's better? No one.
James Franklin's done way more than Harbaugh.
No, yeah.
Exactly. No one's coming in for Penn State to do better than Franklin's already done.
I mean, did Bill O'Brien bring in Barkley or did...
That was O'Brien.
Was it?
I think it was O'Brien.
Yeah. Because James Franklin's first 3 years had Saquon Barkley, I believe.
Yeah,
maybe.
Remember.
I don't remember exacts on that.
That's what we're talking about offensive players. Like, James Franklin's... There's a lot more Penn State offensive notable players in the NFL than there is Michigan.
He made you guys nationally relevant again.
He did. And very quickly, too. I mean, that stuff happened, all the allegations happened, and then a couple years later, they were good again. Nobody ever thought that would happen.
And really, after all that happened, after Bill O'Brien left, went to the Texans, and now fired, I know Matt and Penn State.
Said that he was not the one and done guy. Well, you were two and done guy. You spent 2 seasons.
They didn't lie.
I'm actually kind of glad it happened because it worked out.
It did. It helped you. It worked out in the end.
Yeah, I'm glad he left.
But, so, here's my thoughts. And actually, I don't want to say these are my thoughts, because I heard this a couple of months ago on the Late Kick podcast from 24/7 Sports, so I want to give credit to them for what I'm about to say here. It was the same argument he made for Michigan. They weren't a nationally relevant program, really almost ever in their history. They've been good. They've been very good. They've been among the top teams, but they've never been a contender for decades.
Yeah.
In most of their history, not a contender. They've always been good. No one's saying that they were bad. They've always been good. Same thing with Penn State. Always good. Always great. They're always up there. But they're not always contenders.
Well, and they haven't been since Paterno's peak years in the 80s, 90s.
Right. Back in the 80s. Well,
before he came on, they were nothing.
Right. So they had a good decade or two.
Yeah.
Same with that team up north with Bo Schembechler. And then when they started their program, they were good, too. So they have a decade here, a decade there. They're not consistently at the top like Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Texas, USC.
Sometimes Notre Dame.
Like right now.
Yeah.
You know, teams...
Oklahoma State sometimes.
Oklahoma, even.
Even Oklahoma, yeah.
So these teams have their heyday. They have their decade. Then they fall off. This is one of Penn State's moments where they don't have to fall off. They can be there and wait for your head coaches to bring in people. This is only your fourth head coach in your team's history, I believe. Fourth or fifth.
I forget who they had before Paterno.
Yeah, it was Paterno, Brown.
You guys have the least amount of head coaches in the Big Ten history.
That's going to drive me nuts. Who was the guy they had before Paterno? I know it.
Yeah. No team has used less head coaches, I think in actually all of college football, than Penn State.
I mean, Paterno was there for like, what?
50 years.
50 years.
50 years before the Sandusky scandal.
Yeah. He won what?
Speaking
of 2 national championships? Or?
Yeah, he won one in 87, and I think they won one in the 90s too. But going back, actually, James Franklin did recruit Saquon Barkley. Yeah. Franklin's first year was 14, and then Barkley came in 15.
15, 16, 17.
Yeah.
He was there 3 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, as far as offensive talent, he's got a lot, and they're all good in the NFL. But I just don't know. I mean, like you said, it's not like I'm not on the fire thing. They should not fire him. I mean, who are you going to find?
No.
I always say, who are you going to find? But
unless Luke Fickell would be open to going to Penn State. I think he'd be more open to going to Penn State than he would to go to team up north.
I would take that, but like you said, it's just not all. You know, like I said, with everything going
them
on,
to their status at this is one of the best.
You're going to have a down year. I mean, most of the elite teams like Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, they don't have down years, but it happens.
But Ohio State did,
and Penn State's still trying to get to that level.
Right.
So it's going to happen along the way. You're going to hit bumps along the way, and everything that's gone on this year. They're young. They've lost guys. Let's get ready for next year.
Right. Get ready for next year. And frankly, recruiting's where it matters, and James Franklin's turning into one of the best recruiters in the country.
Yes.
He has done very good job.
Here's the other argument. Does any other coach really want to come into the Big Ten right now with Ohio State as dominant as they are? Ohio State this weekend is facing a top 10 program, and they're a 20-point favorite.
Unless somebody thinks they can just come in and turn that around, but I don't know. You got to do it first.
Someone's got to prove that they can actually dethrone Ohio State.
And the only team that's challenged Ohio State has been Penn State. Michigan doesn't challenge them at all.
No.
Besides the double overtime game. And there were the first 2-3 years with Harbaugh as head coach where they were close games and it was fun to watch. But you're right, Penn State has put up better games in recent years.
I mean, they haven't won a whole lot, but they at least
I think you guys have, one win? Or no, two? Two this decade.
Two this decade.
Yeah.
But
technically
they lost that
last
one.
decade.
What, they got blown up by like 40 or something like that, or 50?
Yeah,
but I remember most of them competitive.
They almost won in overtime that one year, but lost.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's the question.
With Hackenberg.
But no one's coming in and dethroning Ohio State, so let your coaches sit where they're at. Wait for Ohio State to have a down year, if they have one anytime soon. With Ryan Day as the up-and-coming head coach that he is, unless he leaves to go to the NFL, he is going to run the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And there's no question, I don't think, from anybody, that Big Ten is the most elite program. They're the only national competitive program that can compete with teams like Alabama and Clemson. Because I'm sorry, you put Penn State, even like last year or year before when they were good, up against Alabama or Clemson from last year, it is a 30-point blowout.
Oh, it is.
And that's just because of where Ohio State is at after Urban Meyer came in and basically revolutionized Big Ten football.
My only thing with Ohio State is...
I know you don't like them.
No, that's not my thing. That's not where I was going. I mean, I'm not taking credit away from them. They are absolutely the standard in the Big Ten, but... And I know they won the national championship, what, in 14 or 15?
2014 season.
14.
But ever since then, like, yeah, they're the standard in the Big Ten, don't get me wrong, but once they put guys like Clemson and all these teams, like, they can't beat them. The last couple of years, I mean.
Right.
I mean, like I said, I know they won a
Yeah,
couple
no,
years ago.
I understand what you're saying.
Like, they're the standard in the Big Ten, but then once... It's like they're here, guys are right here. Like Alabama and Clemson.
Yeah.
Like they're there.
They're just a one step above.
They are the team in the Big Ten.
Besides last year. Last year, I think Ohio State was that level. They had the perfect season. 12-0. Win the Big Ten championship. 13-0. Then you go into that Clemson game. You know what? If you lose by... What was it? How many points was the game?
I don't know.
Close.
It was so close. I think it was a touchdown game. You lose by
Like
a touchdown...
10 points or something like
Right.
that.
No, it was definitely a one-score game. That's
Was
why
it?
Ohio State would have won if they got the touchdown. In a
Should have
one-score...
won that game.
Yeah. In a one-score game, you know, and you lose by a one-score game against a top program like that, you're there. You are a top program as well in the college football playoff. You're in the playoffs, you lose by one score in some controversial calls throughout the entire game that we've beaten to
God.
death.
Like I said, don't get
That
me wrong.
We've beaten that entire game to death. We don't need to recap.
Don't get me wrong. Like Ohio State,
Yeah.
like they are one of the top brands in college football. But my only thing is, like I'm saying, just the last couple of years, like they've proven to be the best team in the Big Ten. But once they get
By
to
far,
play
yeah.
guys like Clemson, they're. I don't want to say that Clemson's just that much better than them, but they just can't. They haven't been able to beat them. I mean,
I think half of the problem against Clemson is mental. Ohio State has never beaten Clemson in the entire history. I think
Right.
they're 0-4 now against Clemson all time. The only team that can say that they're 4-0 against the Buckeyes, actually. There's a few teams that can claim 1-0, but only
Alabama.
one. No.
They beat Alabama one time.
Yeah, they beat them.
Yeah, Alabama didn't. Alabama can't claim they're 1-0 against Ohio State, though.
But we
That's what I
can.
was saying.
Oh, okay. But we can claim 1-0 against them, though.
No.
No.
That they faced before, Matt.
Oh, okay.
What was I saying?
I don't remember.
I
So,
don't remember.
about the psychological thing. With
Yeah, so Ohio State psychologically can't beat that team. It's in their heads. They're in their own heads, I think, as part of it. But Ohio State, after last year, I think Ryan Day has elevated them. Urban Meyer came in and revolutionized the program, right? Completely changed everything. From Jim Tressel's 3 yards in a cloud of dust football, basically. He was running Woody Hayes football.
Yeah.
Which was traditional Big Ten football, defense wins championships. Urban Meyer came in, brought the SEC super spread offense, read options everywhere, RPOs, completely redesigned that team.
Bombing the ball downfield.
Right. Jim Tressel never threw the ball downfield that much.
No.
He was going 20-yard passes at the most.
Yeah.
Because as Woody Hayes says, 3 things can happen when you put the ball in the air and 2 of them are bad. That was Jim Tressel's thought as well. And it worked at Youngstown State and it worked at Ohio State a few times. But he only won 1 national title. Urban Meyer came in, won 1 national title in the second year. You know? He
Yeah.
revolutionized this program. And now that his, really, the next guy up was the same thing, a head coach. He was already a part of the program. He learned everything from Urban Meyer. So now he took everything from Urban Meyer, and then being the young guy that he is, he applied all this young stuff that we're seeing from guys like Cliff Kingsbury and guys like that are revolutionizing football even more.
Yeah.
And Ryan Day, after a perfect season, he came into this season 16-0 in the regular season. And now he's adding to that with what are they at? 3 more wins now? So 19-0 all time in regular season. He's turning up potentially be the greatest head coach of all time at Ohio State if he keeps this pace.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like you said, he hasn't lost a regular season game yet.
Right. And I think the way he's revolutionized the program and... Actually, not revolutionized. The way he's elevated this program, they're now an elite contender. Because the Ohio State, even when they won the 2014 championship, many people said they were better teams that should have got in. I think it was Baylor and TCU were 5 and 6.
And, like, nobody thought they had a chance against Bama, and nobody...
Right.
Was Bama national champion? No, Oregon was.
Yeah.
Oregon.
Oregon.
And Ohio State blew both of those guys out.
They did.
Well, the score didn't always say blowout, but it was a blowout if you watched it.
Especially against the Ducks, it was a blowout.
Yeah. So that's our thoughts on that. I think we've beaten that to pretty much a dead horse at this point. Florida and Kyle Trask, those guys are lethal. Without their star, Kyle Pitts, they still beat Arkansas 63-35. Kyle Trask had 6 passing touchdowns in the first half. It was a blowout.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything to add on that one, or?
No.
Okay.
Not too much, no.
Yeah, I'll go into Florida more in depth on Breakdown this Friday, so make sure to tune into that. I think what happens next, college football top 12 release. You guys haven't seen it. I'm the only one that has. Let's break this down.
I saw when you were editing it.
You saw me edit it. I don't think you saw the final.
Maybe.
You didn't see the final tallies.
I don't know.
So, 12 through 9. Coming in at number 12, Wisconsin. Number 11, Miami U. Number 10, Oregon Ducks. And number 9, BYU. What are your guys' thoughts so far?
That BYU team they're red hot right now.
You dropped them down a little bit, though.
Yeah.
In your rankings.
I like Miami.
I don't.
But they finally proved that, like, I mean, the last couple years they've been good, and then they kind of dropped it. But this year they proved that they're actually back. I don't know. They
are back, and I have no doubt in that. I think they're a top 15 program. I don't think they're top 10. Though.
I dropped them down a little bit because, a couple other teams I think well performed.
I'm actually the only one that doesn't have them inside of the top 12, which is why they're down at 11th. Because if I had them in there, they'd be up higher.
BYU, not Miami.
Oh, because Miami, BYU is all sitting at I think 8th or 9th for us all. So, but with Miami. They barely pulled off a win against Virginia Tech, put the little asterisk without it, because they were without 3 starters and 11 players in total. So, take that as you will. So, that's our first 4. Now, 8 through 5. Number 8, Indiana taking on Ohio State. They're 8th. Cincinnati and the Fighting Fickles at 7th. The Gators, Kyle Pitts and Kyle Trask at 6th. Texas A&M, the Aggies, running in at number 5. Now the much-anticipated top 4, number 4. Clemson still sits there. Still at number 4. I had them all the way up at number 2, though. You guys both had them sitting back at 4. Mm-hmm. What are your guys' reasonings behind that? Why do you have those guys at 4, and then I'll give my reason for having them at 2.
You want to go first?
For having them at 4?
Yeah, why did they sit at 4?
I don't know. I don't see any reason why they move up. Notre Dame beat them. And I know Notre Dame they still defeated Boston College last week, but
mm-hmm.
And Boston College also gave Clemson a run for their money. So I didn't see any reason to move them up.
Why did you have them fall all the way to 4th after the Notre Dame loss, though? That's what I want to.
I still believe they were top 4 team.
Why did you have them drop to? Why did you pick them to go 4th instead of 3rd or something?
Because it was a close game.
It was close. I wasn't going to drop them to 3. I still like Ohio State at 3.
Because that week Ohio State won that week, so I wanted to keep them at 3. But that's why I want to drop them they're still a top 4 team, even though they lost. That game was close.
Okay, so my reasoning for having them at 2. So here's my reasoning for having them at 2 instead of far back at 4, like pretty much everybody has right now. They lost in a 1-possession game without their starting quarterback.
In overtime.
With the number 1 overall quarterback. In college football, they lost in overtime. Yeah. I still have them at number 2. I have Clemson at number 2, and I have Notre Dame still at 4th.
I see that.
Notre Dame won. None of it matters until the ACC championship game.
You're right.
Because the winner of that will most likely get the spot. Unless Clemson wins and it's close. If Clemson wins and it's close, ACC is getting 2 teams in.
Yes.
Yeah. Because then it'll cancel out because they both beat each other in close games. So you got to put both in.
So we kind of spoiled this, but Ohio State still sits in number 3. Potentially could move up depending on how they play against Indiana, number 8 on our bracket.
Or Indiana could trade spots with them if they knock them off.
Potentially. I think that would flip spots, actually.
Actually,
Indiana would probably jump to 4th. Okay. Clemson would jump up to 3rd, I feel like.
That's right, yeah.
I have a feeling that's how that would go. Then coming in at number 2, Notre Dame. Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish. What are your guys' thoughts on this team?
I think they're I think they should stay in the division in the ACC. I don't think they should go back to independent. I think that gives them that competitive vibe more. You got to play.
And frankly, right now the program is getting
Yeah.
a lot more not national attention because they already had that.
Yeah.
But they're getting more national credibility because they're actually beating in-conference opponents.
And it's like like you're saying. I mean, they have something to play for now. Like you have, you're in a conference within the division.
And the biggest part, though, ACC championship. They can put a championship. They can put a conference championship next to their resume.
That's where I was going to go with that. You have something to play for that all season to get to the conference championship game, and then you get there to win it, and then get, something to play for to get in the playoff.
Right, because that's what everyone was arguing. Like last year, they were like 12-0, but like they never faced anybody good.
Yeah,
they didn't have a conference championship game.
And the year before that, when they got blown out by Clemson, I mean,
yeah, people are like, well, wait, why does this team keep making it? But we don't ever have to see them face anybody. They can go and schedule 12 FCS opponents and
win every one of them, and then
win every one by 70. And then I was like, well, yeah, but they won 70-0. It's like, well, yeah, but you didn't face anybody. The number one, the only team left out there, you could have guessed it, still reigning in at our unanimous number one overall, the Crimson Tide, Alabama. They keep rolling.
It's not surprising.
Not a surprise. So there's our full top 12 rundown. This weekend might provide a little bit of a shakeup. I don't see things moving too much. They didn't move really much at all this weekend.
Well, because like you said, I mean, some of the top teams
right,
didn't play.
Bama didn't play. Dame didn't play. Or Notre Dame might have. I don't remember.
Yeah, they played
at Boston
Boston College. That's what it was. Ohio State didn't play. Clemson didn't play. Texas A&M didn't play. So we'll see how that all goes.
Type of shakeup this weekend.
Moving forward. Now we do have some more semi-breaking news here. First off, Dustin Johnson, congratulations, you won the Masters. I know this won't be breaking news to anybody, but we didn't have another spot for it, so we're just going to throw it in here. Dustin Johnson. I don't think anyone really got the chance to watch the Masters. There's been so much football.
I just kind of like peeked in. But
I peeked in here and there. I had to work Sunday.
Tiger Woods flopped big.
Yeah, he shot a 10 on a par 3, but then he came back and shot birdies on the next 5 holes. He finished,
still one of the greatest all time.
Oh yeah, he finished under. He finished 1 under. He was the one that put the jacket on to Dustin Johnson.
Maybe a little bit of a passing of the torch there.
Maybe
could be.
Dustin Johnson is the number 1 ranked golfer in the world.
And what I thought was one of the coolest moments was as Dustin Johnson put in his final putt, his brother, his caddy, was right behind him, shedding a tear.
Oh, yeah.
It was one of those touching moments in sports. You're like,
I saw that.
That's going to be the clip. That's going to be the clip from this year. Because last year, it was Tiger Woods celebrating.
Yeah.
The same way he did with his dad the first time he won the Masters.
His dad, Earl, yeah.
Yeah.
That was last year's picture moment. This year's picture moment, it's either Tiger Woods putting the jacket on Dustin Johnson. In 23 years, that'll be the picture we look at.
Yeah. Oh, most definitely.
One of those two we're talking about there. But here's the biggest breaking news of the day. The Phoenix Suns are finalizing a deal to acquire Chris Paul and Abdel Nader from the Oklahoma City Thunder in trade for Kelly Oubre, Ricky Rubio, Ty Jerome, Jalen Lee, and a 2022 first-round draft pick. This is huge. And if you go and looking at this detail even more, the Oklahoma City Thunder have absolutely won in the trading recent years. If you look at the way things are going, they turned Russell Westbrook into 3 first-round draft picks, 4 second-round draft picks, and a load of young players to build off of.
And you flip... you get Chris Paul in that trade, then you flip him and get guys like Kelly Oubre, who is a solid player.
Right. They got a great all-star season out of Chris Paul. And, the Thunder are getting rid of Abdel Nader. Now, that's probably just to clear up some room so you get those other players in.
Yeah.
And now our free agent class this year is huge as well. We'll get into that in a minute here once we go into the NBA. And then Drew Lock suffered a rib injury on Sunday. He's might miss this weekend. Still unsure, though. And we did actually have more breaking news out of the Carolina Panthers.
Yes. Mike, listen to this one.
Let me pull this
Is it about Teddy Bridgewater?
Yeah, with Teddy Bridgewater's status in question, this came from Tom Pelissero. The Panthers signed rookie Tommy Stevens to the practice squad and are now listing him as a quarterback. He was the Saints' 7th round pick, and he was actually on their practice squad as a
Yeah.
tight end for the Saints.
Well, he transferred
Yeah.
to Mississippi State, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, but
So I was kind of excited about him being transferred.
Yeah, me too. But I mean, we remember him from Penn State. Same thing with Juwan Johnson.
What, do you guys know who the backup quarterback right now is for the
Will Grier.
for the Panthers?
Will Grier?
Will Grier and P.J. Walker.
P.J. Walker?
P.J. Walker is the
Yeah, the
backup
guy-
quarterback.
Oh, what team?
That was the Houston Roughnecks.
Okay.
I believe it was. Actually, I think we might have some more news here.
All right. News.
Did we mention
The
Drew Brees?
Ravens will not be hosting any fans on Sunday's game against the Titans due to Maryland's COVID issues. Not that big. Jets claim former offensive lineman Pat Elflein and officially placed Drew Samia on the COVID-19 list. That is our breaking news of the afternoon there. Moving on to the NBA. The NBA draft is this week. It should be exciting. We might try doing something for that depending on how everything breaks down. It might just be a solo breakdown show of my live reactions to the NBA draft as it's happening. Most likely that'll happen here on Twitch as well. I might actually Instagram live it on our page simultaneously. But Detroit Pistons might be looking into trading Blake Griffin on draft night. They already have the 7th pick. This could be a move to move up in the draft, though. If you're given the 7th pick and Blake Griffin, you might be able to move up to number 3, number 2, somewhere in
Well,
there.
the Pistons-
I don't think they have the pieces to go to 1, but I think they can get top 3.
That'd be good for the Pistons because they've got to go into this rebuild. I mean, they tried the Blake Griffin thing. They had Drummond. They had tried with Derrick Rose. I mean, they've been trying. They just got to go
Bring
off
Blake
rebuild here.
Griffin back with Drummond in Cleveland.
Perhaps.
I doubt it, but it's somewhere the Pistons got to go. I
Cleveland
mean,
doesn't really have trade pieces, though. That's the
No.
issue.
They don't.
Cleveland has nobody to trade.
they don't. Other than Kevin Love, but nobody wants his contract.
Right. He what,
He's old.
$40 million? No, not 40. It's like a, what, $24 million contract for an old guy that can
Yeah.
barely walk down the court?
Yeah.
Sorry, it's not happening. Kristaps Porzingis is expected to miss start of the season as he continues to rehab his knee. I don't really think this will be too much of a big deal for them with Luka Doncic emerging. I think he'll be able to carry them pretty well for the first month going through. So they should be fine after that. Plus, the first month of basketball, it matters, but it doesn't really matter. The first month, let's see, are we tanking or are we making a run this year? That's what that first month can tell you.
That's all it
and
is.
sometimes it's even a lie. I mean, look at the Cavs. The Cavs were at 500 going in after the
Yeah.
first month.
Yeah,
Actually, they may have been plus 500.
maybe.
Then they finished the season out with losing pretty much every game.
Yeah.
LeBron has announced he's going to cherry pick the first games to start this season, probably the first month or so. He said, I got Anthony Davis here. That's what I got this young guy for. I'm going to sit out a little bit, rest my body up, let this guy go and dominate for a little bit. But Anthony Davis has declined his player option and is now technically a unrestricted free agent. He is expected to re-sign that with the Lakers.
Oh yeah,
He
he's not
wants a
going
big
anywhere.
money.
He's already announced he said it after the championship, I want to win 9 more with LeBron. So, obviously, he's staying.
He may not do it
to
with
get
LeBron,
a better
but-
contract.
Right.
No, he said he wants to win 9 more with LeBron.
Yeah, but I don't know if LeBron's going to be that good
If
for 9
LeBron
more years.
if AD and LeBron keep going if they go to the finals again this year, you bet LeBron's staying around. Are you kidding me? Whew. Houston Rockets are in blow-up
Dumpster
mode.
fire right now.
It is a dumpster fire, catastrophic destruction. You might as well just let a hurricane rip through that city at this point.
Yeah.
Let a hurricane force them to rebuild or something. Austin Rivers declined his player option. Trevor Ariza has felt the lack of respect. He hasn't said he wants out, but he's saying, I don't know, I don't like being here that much. Russell Westbrook, obviously on the trade block. Teams that are arrested are the Nets, the Knicks, as always, as expected. Clippers are on the trade block as well for him. So we will see him moved probably pretty quickly here with the first day of free agency starting now. It is live now. I'm surprised we haven't had any announcements during the show.
Well, some teams might be waiting for after the draft, but
That
see
is
if
very
picks up the
possible.
last
Most
couple
of the
days.
time, free agency isn't until after the draft anyways.
Yeah.
So we might wait until later this week. Something will come out. Eric Gordon's upset with the organization. Apparently, he's upset that his role in the organization has been depreciating ever since the 2016-17 season. He wants more involvement. Former players are saying the culture is problematic, and now James Harden has just announced that he wants out as well, and would prefer to be sent to a place like the Nets.
Nets, yeah.
Try to make that super team down there.
That's not the only person that wants to go to the Nets. Serge Ibaka,
Yes.
free agent right now, announced that he wants to sign with the Nets. But the Rockets have also shown interest in signing him. No interest has been shown back. It's just like the Knicks, right? Oh, we want you, and you. We're going to make a super team this year, and who do they get? R.J. Barrett.
And Julius Randle.
Right.
Yeah.
The more unathletic version of Zion, right?
Yeah.
More stuff in free agency. Victor Oladipo, last season, openly asked other teams, can I come play with y'all in front of his own Pacers teammates? He said he's committed to the franchise, but he basically said otherwise. What are your guys' thoughts on Oladipo? Obviously an up-and-coming star as well.
Yeah,
He's just not in the right
It's
environment.
kind of weird. I mean, like you said, there's reports that he wants help, and then he's like, no, things are fine here, but
I mean, it's
they gotta help him
Indiana.
out. They gotta help him out.
Who wants to be in Indiana? Same thing as Cleveland. I mean, why do you think
Right.
Paul George left?
Yeah, Paul George wanted out because they wouldn't give him pieces to actually build a team. Which is almost the same thing that happened to LeBron in Cleveland. Cleveland refused to do a win-now strategy, and they just wanted to ride LeBron. It's like, well, LeBron gets us there, and we don't have to spend any money. We're making millions just having LeBron.
No excuses. I'm just saying this, but it's just hard for smaller markets to just do that.
Yeah.
Like, it's easier for teams like the Lakers or Celtics for teams to do that. It's hard for small market teams to do that because if they go all in and don't win, they're screwed for the next 10 years.
Right.
Yeah.
If you go all in,
It's
you
a
don't
risk
win.
you gotta take.
Most of the time, you have to build your team up through the draft. You compete for 4 years, and then you do it all again.
But players nowadays they're not willing to. It's if we don't win during 2-3 years, I want out of here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's
Same
like
with
small
Giannis
markets
and the Bucks right now.
Small market teams have such a small window, and if they do go all in and they don't win anything, they're screwed for next decade.
Right, and then that owner's like, well, why did I spend all this money and not get anything in return?
So, I mean, if you-
now I'm out 10
If you do
million.
go all in and don't win anything, and then you're screwed, you're gonna get heat. But if you don't do anything, you're gonna get heat either way.
Right.
So I mean, it's just a risk you gotta take.
I like Oladipo with them. He's shown a lot of promise ever since he had a breakout game against Cleveland in the playoffs. I think he's dominant. I think any team would be lucky to have a guy like him on the roster.
Yeah.
Rondo for the Lakers expecting to decline his player option and get a big deal in free agency, and that is becoming pretty relevant for the Lakers too, as they're expecting him to do the same, as they just traded the number 28 pick in Danny Green for Dennis Schroeder. Actually, it's not happening yet, but they're expected to. As the trade window opened today, we're expecting all the finalized details.
Oh, Danny
probably
Green was
come out
involved in
today.
that? Because I didn't.
It's still up in the air.
Yeah, because I
There are
didn't.
reports saying he is. There's reports saying he isn't.
Because when I first saw it, it was just that pick, and
Right.
nothing was finalized. But
What are your guys' thoughts on that? Who wins this deal right now?
I think it obviously says they're not bringing back Rondo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's not even. They're expecting him to go into free agency, and they're not going to have the money to sign him. Because they're also going to be losing Dwight Howard as well. He's going to be a free agent.
Oh, really?
Because
Yeah, most of the guys on that team are on 1 year
they were
deals.
all 1 year deals. Yeah. No, but I like Dennis Schroeder. I like him when he was back with Atlanta. He had a good year last year. I mean, talk about the Thunder. When that.
And if you see the guys that he's worked with and gotten to train alongside, got shooting from Kyle Korver and a lot of other guys on that Atlanta Hawks team.
Al Horford was there, his leadership.
Al Horford. They've had a lot of guys there.
Paul Millsap.
Then he
Paul
went over.
Millsap,
He went over to the Thunder. Got to work alongside Chris Paul and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander
And Westbrook. He was there
And
with Westbrook.
Westbrook.
And now going to the Lakers, he's bringing a lot of experience in just a few years over to that team
Yeah.
that desperately needs an actual point guard that can run the team without LeBron on the floor.
He's
And
very.
that's what they're going to have to find during that first month when LeBron's not playing every game.
And we use the term with Rondo. He is a floor general, and he's very solid. He's shifty with the ball. He can shoot.
I think Rondo was like the third biggest player on that team in the playoffs. What was Rondo going to do? How can he lead this team when LeBron can't run point guard all the time? And that's why they won the title, was because of a guy that can come off the bench like Rondo.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts there. Buddy Hield also announced he wants out of the Sacramento Kings and prefers to go to Dallas.
That'd be good for Dallas.
That would
The
be.
3-point king,
He's sometimes inconsistent, but that'd be a win-win for Dallas.
and he's going to be a spot-up shooter, much like J.R. Smith, Danny Green, Avery Bradley. They're spot up shooters
there's
that you're going to throw out to.
There's nobody that complimented him in Sacramento, okay?
And can you imagine Luka Doncic's assist numbers now with Buddy Hield, somebody you can actually throw the three out to? Because not only will he have, if they get this, Buddy Hield, they also have Seth Curry, who can shoot the lights out.
He doesn't get a lot of credit for it
can
either.
shoot the lights out. Doncic can shoot the lights out. This is a phenomenal team that is probably putting their three-point shooting up there, if they get this, up next to Golden State.
But it's kind of hard to believe that Buddy Hield wants out of Sacramento. Like, they were kind of building something there a little bit.
There were a lot of issues last season and stuff that came out later in the season, and they wouldn't give Buddy Hield the ball at the end of the games when they needed a three.
Yeah.
He won the three-point contest, and they wouldn't put him in. Go ahead.
Get sidetracked for a second. Will we see Golden State back into like the playoffs? Like back in that
guaranteed. Everyone's coming back.
No question.
They'll be full strength within a month.
All right.
And especially with this draft pick.
They're projected to get Wiseman. I mean,
we'll talk about our projections here in a minute.
Yeah.
Let's get in biggest free agents this season, depending on player options. We get into there. Okay, nothing big. Just the Browns placing fullback Andy Janovich on the COVID-19 list. Not anything big.
Who is
but
that?
Biggest free agents this year, depending on player options. Anthony Davis, obviously expected to re-sign with the Lakers. Here's the big one, though, that I think is going to get overlooked a lot just because of everything else going on. Brandon Ingram, if he declines a player option as a free agent, unrestricted. So I think it's going to depend. Does he want to stick it out one more year with the Pelicans and Zion playing a full season? Or does he go somewhere and be the main guy?
Where would you like to see him go?
Cleveland.
Perhaps Chicago.
I'd see him.
Chicago
That'd be cool.
So Chicago.
Match
I don't think the
with,
Bucks have enough money. Miami.
The Bulls rumored
match him up with Kobe White.
With the Bulls.
And the Bulls are rumored to move on from Zach LaVine, so that'd be a good opening.
And bringing in Anthony. What's his name? I'm drawing a blank here. Anthony Edwards from Georgia, who's a shooting guard.
Yeah.
I think Kobe White, Anthony Edwards, and Brandon Ingram would be a great three-man rotation in there. And then they got a lot of big guys that are pretty good too.
I mean, you got Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah,
he's been injured a little bit.
Right, and isn't Bobby Portis?
Yeah, he's still there.
Yeah,
is he still there?
I can never remember where he's at. He's just been injured so much.
I'm pretty sure he still is. But
here's one of my favorite guys coming up on the market, Fred VanVleet. He said, "I won my titles. It's time to get paid."
Yeah.
Someone's going to pay him a good chunk of money. I have a feeling. Hopefully.
Well, they were talking about if the Suns couldn't get Chris Paul, the Suns were going to be interested in him. But obviously now we know they got Chris Paul.
And especially Goran Dragic is on the free agent mark this year as well.
I believe Miami would
most likely they'll re-sign him.
Signs,
probably in a diminished role though.
Yeah.
And Miami still,
they still have Kendrick Nunn.
And they still have Jimmy Butler.
Right. I saw a report today. They're saying Kendrick Nunn may not be a part of the future, so we don't. We'll see what goes on.
Maybe an opening for a point guard for VanVleet.
Yeah.
They obviously have tons of money to spend. They're willing to spend. They've shown that. And a lot of those guys are homegrown guys, so they're still on younger contracts. Bam Adebayo. You know, they also have Tyler Herro still, who came off the bench for most of the playoffs. Another big name out here, Montrezl Harrell. He's open up now. DeMar DeRozan, if he declines his player option, would be a free agent, and the Lakers are interested, and he wants to go to the Lakers.
Lakers are interested in everybody.
I don't want to see him go to Lakers. I'd either rather see him go back to Toronto, which we talked about a little bit, or I'd like to go see him join Jimmy Butler in Miami.
Nah, I don't know about that one. I don't want to see him go back to Toronto. They obviously showed a lot of disloyalty in trading him in the first place. If I was him, I would never touch that franchise again. And I'd actually go somewhere probably in the same division where you get to face that team a few more times and turn LeBronto into...
So come to Cleveland then.
Toronto? I don't know.
Looking for anybody.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're a free agent, come to Cleveland. Speaking of free agents in Cleveland, Andre Drummond, if he declines a $28 million player option, would be a free agent. And probably the biggest problem for the Cavs right now, unrestricted free agent Tristan Thompson. Tristan was going to want a lot of money, being the best offensive rebounder in the NBA.
Yeah.
Do the Cavs resign him?
What's your thoughts on Drummond? Do they resign Drummond?
Well, he's a player option. He's expected to resign.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
he's expected to accept.
If you're able to move Kevin Love, like, I don't know. I mean, Tristan is going to want a lot, but he's been so loyal to that franchise. He's one of the best players I ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's up there. I mean, but at some point you have to decide.
And he's never been anywhere else. I mean, he's a very solid player. I mean, he's a very good rebounder, and that's something they lack.
Right.
But they're not in win now mode, so maybe he's going to want to move on. But I would explore trying to keep him. But
I'd try to keep him.
Question marks up in the air for sure. Serge Ibaka is also on the free agent hunt, as we talked about earlier. Bogdanovich, another one of the best three-point shooters out there available. Danilo Gallinari is also out there from the Thunder.
They're saying the Mavericks are kind of interested in him.
Gordon Hayward has a player option with the Celtics. Probably going to be probably won't exercise that unless he just wants to get one more year into that massive contract.
Yeah,
that'd probably be the only way he sticks around there. Joe Harris from the Nets has a player option. I'd expect him to opt back in, though. I wouldn't expect him to opt out of that. Unless he thinks he can go get paid, which he probably could.
He could, but
he could keep a smaller contract, go win a ring, and add some things to his resume.
Yeah.
Get paid even more. And then Mike Conley is also available. So let's get into the NBA draft. That's what I want to talk about. It's supposed to be the biggest segment of the day, although I think college football may have robbed that one a little bit. So let's go pick by pick here. What do we thought? What's our thoughts? Number 1, Minnesota. Mike?
Do you want to start at number 1 or 10?
Yeah, start at number 1. This is how the draft goes.
I have Minnesota taking LaMelo Ball.
I also have Ball, Matt.
Let me get my list.
I don't think he's the best player in the draft, though.
I don't think he is, but you put him alongside D'Angelo Russell and
Karl
Anthony Towns. Minnesota's never had a star.
I went Timberwolves taking Anthony Edwards. From
I
Georgia.
could see that one too. I had that. I also had them Georgia. I mean, they could or Minnesota.
These top 5 players could go in any order, and it's just going to depend how does the system fit. How does that player fit in that team system?
To me, the only lock in the top 10 because we're doing it is probably if the Warriors keep it. My lock is probably them taking James Wiseman. That's my.
He was projected number 1 overall going into the season for college basketball. Ended up not being able to play wasn't able to play because of some controversies and was suspended. So number 2, do we all have James Wiseman for the Warriors?
Yeah.
All right, I think he's the best player in the draft. Has the biggest upside.
I mean, people are saying Ball. I mean, I'm not really all in on that, but I kind of agree with Wiseman.
I'm not in on a Ball. I'm not in on it yet.
No.
I mean, he has good playmaking. He's an elite passer, but we just got to see how things develop.
I have no doubt he'll be a good player.
Right.
I don't know if he'll ever be some team's top.
I don't think he'll be as good as his brother.
I think he'll be better than Lonzo.
Yeah, he will.
I think so. Yeah, that's a joke.
And the other one, D'Angelo. Yeah, I think he'll definitely be better than him. The Charlotte Hornets with the 3rd pick. I got Anthony Edwards.
I haven't
taken that kid from USC. I can't pronounce
it.
Yeah.
Onika
Ongakwe. Yeah, I haven't taken him.
Yeah.
Ongakwe.
Nice pronunciation there.
I mean,
Did I get it?
It said the Hornets are kind of
at least the last name I know you got right.
It says that they're kind of like looking into getting a center. I mean, they haven't really said much what they're going to do this draft, but that's the route I can see them going.
Which way?
Center.
Ongakwe?
Yeah.
I have Anthony Edwards.
I
don't know. So number 3 is really the first discrepancy we've had.
Well,
the Charlotte Hornets. What do they? Well, the issue with that entire franchise. What do they need? And I took Anthony Edwards because their owner is shooting guard Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan likes those guards.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
frankly, the team doesn't have any pieces right now.
They really don't. No. I mean, the best player is probably Terry Rozier.
Yeah,
probably.
I mean, I don't even know who else they have.
So this is Jordan's chance to get a star player that maybe reminds him of himself a little bit and start putting something together. They have to find a player that they can build around. And frankly, that's probably going to be a guy like Anthony Edwards. Because you can't build around a center in today's ball. You just can't.
You can't, yeah.
It's much like NFL teams going in there and drafting a quarterback number 1 overall and expecting to build around a quarterback. No. You have to build the team first and then get your quarterback.
I mean, drafting at this spot here, 3rd, in this range here, I mean,
It's really depending who goes 1 and 2.
That's where I was going to go. Yeah.
You're taking the third best guy available, or you're taking the best guy available. At number 3.
And if Ball doesn't get picked number 1, and he falls to 3, I mean, I can see him taking 1.
Right, because there's even talks about Golden State taking Ball at number 2 if he doesn't go.
This draft is just up in the air because it's deep and a lot of teams.
I'm thinking this might be the best draft class since LeBron James and that massive draft.
The most
what was that,
interesting
03?
one, too. Yeah, 03.
That 03 class was phenomenal. And that has given us so many future Hall of Famers at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So number 4, Chicago Bulls. What do you guys got going on there?
I have LaMelo Ball going to the Bulls.
I have Anthony Edwards going to the Bulls.
I have Danny Avdija, the international superstar, probably the best international player in the draft this year. And with the way international stars have been popping off recently, I would have no doubt somebody takes him early.
He was from the Israel team.
Right. Number 5, our team, the Cleveland Cavaliers, is probably what we'll spend the most time on.
Oh, yeah.
Do we all have the same guy?
And if they do not pick him, I'm going to throw a tantrum. I'm going to be working.
Let me say what the predictions are first, though.
We'll say the predictions.
So, I believe this was ESPN. They put out, Cavs are expected to take guard Tyrese Halliburton.
Oh, no. No.
Let's talk about that. Cavs taking another guard, maybe?
No.
He's a good guard, but
he's a good guard. But
we have 2-point guards. Okay, I don't want to hear the crap
But is Darius
about...
Garland a guy for the future?
Yeah, I don't want to hear that crap,
I think Sexton is.
Well,
Yeah.
Sexton's our starting guy for the future.
Well, no, I think he's the point guard in the future.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they're starting splitting time at point guard, but I don't know if Garland's the right guy to play alongside him.
They don't have anything that works well together.
I mean, I know
I was
we
yelling about them
season
picking Garland last year. Now they have that problem. When they picked the guy at Culver, when they picked Jarrett Culver instead, they picked Garland. Now they want to get rid of him.
Who's our national
It's
shooting
a wasted draft pick now. So
let's go into our picks, though. Mike?
I have them taking Obi Toppin because that's who I want.
Yeah.
that's who I want.
That's who I want.
I want Obi Toppin.
We all want Obi Toppin.
I want Obi Toppin.
I mean, what's the real reason we want that? He went to Dayton.
He went to Dayton.
He's in Ohio already.
Yeah.
So obviously he wants to be here.
Yeah.
Which is something you have to look at when you're a small market team.
I can't remember if I said this.
Who wants to be in that state?
I can't remember if I said this earlier in the show or if I said it off air, but there's 3 guys I want. Number 1 is Obi Toppin, like we're saying.
Danny Advija?
Yeah.
I want him as well.
Or I want Okoro from Auburn. I mean,
Okoro, he's all right.
He can play forward.
Yeah.
And he's a very good defensive player.
I mean, if James Wiseman falls to us too, though, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah,
just because he can shoot it.
I doubt he'll fall that far, but that'd be nice.
I don't know. It's possible that he can fall. Especially if Obi Toppin goes earlier.
If he does fall, do you want Wiseman over Toppin?
Yeah.
Do I want Wiseman over Toppin? Yes. But that's the question. Golden State, would they rather get another Draymond Green, a more athletic Draymond Green and Obi Toppin, or grab a center that they don't really have?
And
because they need
we were just talking about
they need a center, but they could also use Obi Toppin as their big guy.
Yeah. And we were also talking about if Thompson was going to leave, then we're going to need a center, James Wiseman.
Yeah.
So
James Wiseman, especially get him 1 or 2 years as the number 2 guy under Drummond, and then let him go free range.
Yeah.
And you can actually have him playing power forward too, because I think he's 6'10", 6'11".
Yeah.
So right around the same height as Tristan Thompson.
But if the draft goes in the way that we have it,
right. But I think we all want Obi Toppin will be best available guy.
He's just he's 6'6", 220. I mean, they need somebody like that starting a small forward.
The question mark is though, is he just another Zion Williamson? Can he just dunk?
I'm not just so much hyping him up like that,
right?
But
because that's what I was like. Well, I mean, he can dunk it, and his pro comparison is Blake Griffin right now.
Yeah.
That's what everyone's saying. This is Blake Griffin.
That's a pretty good comparison.
Bring Blake Griffin in to teach how.
Let's get Obi Toppin, Blake Griffin, and Andre Drummond. Just recreate the Detroit Pistons. While we're at it, let's just go take their head coach, too.
Yeah. Who is their head coach?
Former head coach from the Raptors.
Yeah,
Dwayne
Casey.
Yeah. He's really good, though. I like him up there.
Me too.
But they're in pretty much a rebuild mode.
So,
Atlanta Hawks at number 6. What do we got? I got Killian Hayes.
I had him taking that what's his name?
Danny Avdija?
Yeah.
I have him taking Patrick Williams from Florida State. I don't know.
Yeah, number 6 is kind of where we go off those top guys, but it's pretty open going down that list. Number 7, though, what do you guys got? Detroit Pistons.
I got Killian Hayes.
Ooh, okay. I like Killian Hayes. He's a good shooter.
Yeah.
I had them.
He's a really good 3-point shooter, and I think he might even go higher than number 6 that I have him at. I have Tyrese Halliburton because he is expected to be a top five, with the Cavs.
Yeah.
But he's not going to fall that far, and a team like Detroit would definitely want a guy like that. Number 8, New York Knicks. What do you guys got?
I have Denny Avdija.
Okay.
I had them taking that Patrick, the guy that you had.
Patrick Williams.
Yeah, from Forest.
I've got Devin Vassell. I think we're starting to get into some of those names that not everybody will know around the country, but number 9, the Washington Wizards.
I had the Wizards taking Halliburton.
I have him. Yeah, Halliburton.
Okay, I got that Ngakwe.
I like Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah, he's got a lot of
I
potential.
watched some of his games in the early tournaments last year. He was.
I don't think I would be terribly upset if the Cavs took him.
Oh, I wouldn't be
I
either.
definitely want a bigger guy.
I don't want another guard, but if they did take guard, he was somebody I would want.
Right.
Or I'd be comfortable with.
Right. Because when they made the Sexton pick, I wasn't all for it.
No.
He's turning out to be a lot better than I think I thought he would be. And then I was not happy that we took Garland last year.
Me either. I was mad.
And then we took, we got a guard, and then we took Kevin Porter Jr., who's also a guard.
Well, here's my
and then we
other
also took Dylan Windler, who's also a guard.
That's where I was going to go.
And he's coming back.
right.
So
No, see, basically his rookie season.
Yeah, but Dylan he could kind of play forward a little bit.
Yeah, he's big enough he can play forward. I think
Yeah.
he's
And he could
6'7".
shoot the lights out.
Yeah.
Yeah, Windler.
And he was somebody I was excited about them taking last year. I mean, I didn't know much about him. I know he went to Belmont, but
Yeah.
he's pretty much an extra draft pick this year because he didn't play it all last year.
Right.
That's something good going into this
Yeah.
year.
Exactly. And he had that 1 year of just sitting behind the NBA, seeing how everything works, going through a full season. May have been injured, but you're rehabbing alongside
And
your
sometimes,
team.
I mean, I know you're the most experience you get is on the court, but sometimes that helps just as much as being on the court, is being able to just see how
Ben
things
Simmons.
work. Yeah, Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons did the same thing. He was injured coming out of college, sat that first year, and then goes out and wins Rookie of the Year.
I was very excited about Windler last year before he got
Yeah.
hurt, and I'm people may forget that they even have him right now.
Yeah.
Right. I think most
have
people
it.
forget Windler's on that team.
And he can shoot the lights out.
Exactly. So number 10, the final one we have here,
Suns.
to the Phoenix Suns. What do you guys got going on?
I got Kira Lewis
Got
Jr.,
the same thing.
point guard from Alabama.
I saw SI had them going 10. I kind of want the Suns. Probably, I would like them to take Isaac Okoro,
Okoro.
That wouldn't be a bad pick.
especially now since they're getting Chris Paul. I mean, because Lewis is a point guard,
Yeah.
but
Did you guys pick any sleeper picks that you think may come up a little bit earlier in the draft than many are predicting? You
No.
guys have anybody?
well, I have somebody. I don't see this happening, but I saw
Okay.
one. I forget what site it was on, but I saw this one had Obi Toppin falling all the way down to 14 or 16 to the Celtics.
Good luck. That's a Celtics
That's something I was
owner
very
that's
surprised
hey,
to
my
see.
Celtics are going to get somebody good. No, you're not.
I was surprised to see that happening.
Best pick, I think, at Fort, maybe there for the Celtics. If they want to take a risk on a sleeper pick this early,
What did they have? 14.
Caleb Wesson,
Caleb Wesson.
Big Ten Player of the Year. At the
He turned it up,
NBA Combine, he was hitting over 86% of his threes, and he shoots over 80% from the free throw line as well. I think he's nearing 90% at the line
He turned it up for Ohio
for a
State.
center.
Yeah.
He's a 3-point shooter, can shoot free throws. He can do it all in the court. And any team is going to be lucky to have. That is my biggest sleeper pick this year is Caleb Wesson.
I didn't
That's
really
why.
have a huge sleeper, but that, like I said, that was something that shocked me. Rather than having a sleeper, is Obi Toppin falling to 14.
Yeah.
I do not see it happening. The odds of that are happening very slim.
Let's go on then. Moving on subjects, the NFL. We got some things to talk about before we get to the AFC North. Christian McCaffrey has another injury. He's expected to miss this week's game against the Lions after missing, 6 weeks prior and then playing one game. Didn't make it through the whole one, already got injured.
Yeah.
Yeah, things are going from bad to worse for the Panthers, huh? Because Teddy Bridgewater's knee injury status is still up in the air.
And they were playing pretty solid at the beginning of the year.
Right, he's also uncertain for their next game against the Lions. Matt Rule says he's hopeful Teddy will practice Wednesday, but practicing and playing are two very different things.
Yeah.
Larry Fitzgerald, this one's just kind of one of those out there stats. He hasn't dropped a pass since week 4 of 2018. I just had to put that in there.
That's just
He's
amazing.
one of the greatest wide receivers of all time.
Larry
Number
Legend.
2 probably up there statistically. Behind what? Jerry Rice?
Yep, he's right
Jerry
behind
Rice, number 1. Number 2, Larry Fitz.
Yeah.
Give credit to those Cardinals right now. Kyler Murray's proving me wrong. I think
By the
so
way,
far.
there was, if you guys remember, They were one of my sleeper teams this year.
That's right.
I kind of
I called you crazy for it because I had them going 3-13.
I kind of compared them to the Niners last year.
What about the Rams? You said the Rams were going to go bad. Didn't they?
I'm like Kirk Herbstreit this week in college football. I'm picking everything wrong.
What was one of my sleeper teams? Did I pick Miami as a sleeper team?
Oh, God, I don't remember.
I don't remember.
I don't think you picked the Dolphins. No.
I don't think so, but they're definitely a sleeper team now.
Kyler Murray is actually on pace for the first ever 4,000 passing yard, 1,000 rushing yard seasons ever. So he's proven me more than wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of becoming okay with it. You know, I think he's turning into a really good quarterback, and I'm excited to see what he can do for the program.
Yeah.
Not program, the franchise.
Franchise, yeah.
Program is college. Drew Brees' biggest storyline.
We see his replacement right now.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second here. Drew Brees has 5 fractured ribs, a shoulder injury, and a collapsed lung. He had 3 ribs fractured after last game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then last Sunday he had 2 more broken against the 49ers, and doctors are saying they're expecting one of those punctured right ribs ended up puncturing his lung.
Oh.
Because the only reason he got out of the game, because he was having some soreness. You're a quarterback, you take hits, you're expecting soreness.
Yeah.
But he was having issues breathing in the second half. That's why he didn't play, and we saw just an unexpected, why is Jameis Winston in?
Yeah.
But Sean Payton will not announce a starting quarterback for next weekend right now. What are your guys' thoughts on the Brees' injury and who's going to start next? Who's backing up?
I really
so I
don't
see
know.
Jameis Winston
Taysom
coming
Hill
in.
or Jameis Winston?
Jameis Winston's gonna be the quarterback.
He better be. Are you kidding me? I'm not putting in Taysom Hill.
No, Taysom.
The guy has choked so many times this season.
Taysom Hill's gonna come in and play that, like the slash role, which he's good at.
He's coming.
He's your Swiss Army knife.
Let him do that.
That's my thought as well.
He's had a couple good plays as quarterback, but I mean he's not a full-time quarterback.
Speaking of the Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa has 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and 3 wins as a starting quarterback. Surprisingly for the Dolphins, they're 6-3 now?
Yeah.
And are first place of their division? Second place.
Are they?
Behind the Bills, yeah.
Yeah.
Or are they tied?
Bills are 7-3.
I forgot they were in the same conference. Okay. I was just kind of more shocked to see that ever since they moved. When they moved on from Fitzpatrick, I was like, I don't know. I don't know if Tua was ready. He's shown that he is.
He is.
Hasn't been putting up the same numbers when we see out of guys like Herbert or Burrow or Kyler Murray, but, young quarterback, he's looking good.
He's doing enough.
I like Tua.
He's doing enough. I don't know. I was sort of a fan. Haven't really been a super fan, though. Let's talk about the AFC North, though. This is the one everybody wants to talk about.
Yes!
Mike Tomlin became the second coach in NFL history to begin his career with 14 consecutive seasons of a record of 500 or better. Congratulations to him.
And I feel like sometimes it's not appreciated.
Oh, who was the first one?
May have been
I saw it.
Don Shula?
I don't know. I forget. I saw it.
I don't remember. We know I'm not the NFL expert up in here, so... You got more breaking?
Yeah. Milwaukee Bucks center Robin Lopez is declining his $5 million player option. And
That's sneaky big news for the Bucks.
He's becoming a free agent. Yeah, it is.
That's sneaky big news. I mean, he was a good part of them last year.
Yeah, but he's more of a backup behind his brother Brooke.
His brother's more of a bigger role. But.
Right. I don't know. Could be playing a potential... I mean, they could always... that means he didn't want to be traded. He wants to go pick where he plays.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, I got a 1-year player option. Send me somewhere.
Yeah.
Get something out of me. But, I don't know. Maybe it's kind of questionable. I don't know. All right, back to football here. Browns' first game back with Nick Chubb. They got an ugly win against the Texans. It was bad weather.
It's still a win.
And he had a big run there at the end that he stepped out of bounds at the 1.
Which was a smart move.
Right.
Yeah.
Killed me having him in fantasy, but that seems to be the storyline. What were you going to say there, Matt?
Nothing.
Oh, okay. He really didn't get a lot of runs throughout the game. They are still letting Kareem Hunt take care of the ball most of it. I think it kind of hurt them a little bit. I expect Chubb and the Browns to be back next weekend, though.
Who they got next week?
Oh, of course you had to ask me because I can never remember.
I can't remember either. It just said it yesterday.
I remember.
I've been looking at so many schedules all day long, so I forget. They got the Eagles.
Oh, okay.
They should
take
win
care
that.
of the Eagles.
But the Eagles, they're kind of getting healthy a little bit.
Are we going to talk about the Eagles division?
NFC East.
Yeah.
I wasn't planning on it
There's
because
nothing to talk
that
about.
conference.
No.
Let's talk about the Cowboys after we get to the AFC North. We want to talk about
Let's
Dak
talk
Prescott.
about
the-
Dak Prescott, everything.
Oh,
Yeah, but they're also talking about the Giants. Maybe.
We'll save it.
Okay.
A little bit of a teaser there.
Okay.
They're talking about the Giants.
We're talking about the Giants.
We'll see that in a minute here.
Yeah.
Ravens lost to the Patriots. Shockingly.
I was so happy.
Did you guys see the weather in that
Yeah.
game? Oh my god.
Yeah.
I think it's funny. As
It was
the day,
literally
Did you see the?
can I say this real
Yeah,
quick?
yeah.
It was as the day went on. It started in Cleveland, and then the Pittsburgh game was like, well, all that crap from Cleveland's resting here now. And then as we get to the 8 o'clock game, it's like, well, all that crap from Cleveland's now here. It just kept going and getting worse.
They kept on showing the lonely dude up in the higher seats. He's just up there by himself watching the game.
It was by the end of the game, you couldn't see anything on the camera.
I was like,
when J.K. Dobbins dropped that last pass, which I don't think you can really even blame wide receivers for dropping the ball in that weather.
No, it's just hard.
the game was over by then, anyways.
Yeah, especially because it was cold. You could see their breath coming out too.
Yeah.
It was cold, raining. I mean, there's only a certain amount of catches that are fantastic, and one of those had to be that Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
End of the game. It wasn't even a Hail Mary. That was
Hail
just
Murray.
Hail Mary. But the play called wasn't actually a Hail Mary. They were trying to move the ball downfield to set up another play, but he just so happened to find a guy in the end zone. Fantastic play on that game by Kyler Murray on that
During
ball.
that time, my power was out at my house,
Oh.
and I was watching. I'm like, what the heck? And I put it on my phone. I was watching it on my phone. I'm like, oh, good, Bills are gonna win, yeah. No, it's like Music City Miracle all over again.
That was crazy. All right, but back to the AFC North. Because of the Ravens' loss, they're now tied for second with the Browns in the AFC North. Steelers are still running away with the AFC North right now. But that can all change. There's still plenty of time.
Yeah, they could go 9-7.
Right. There's still plenty of time left in the season for something crazy to happen.
And not to be spoiler alert.
I mean, Big Ben keeps looking like he's getting hurt in back-to-back games. Like, there's moments you see him limping or, ooh, that's a bad hit.
Not to be a Debbie Downer, but I mean, they did win the two games they played against, two very good teams, against Titans and Ravens. But I still want to see them play better teams.
And
I still want to see the Browns.
Every Steelers post I see on Instagram, I go read the comments, and everybody.
It's the worst thing. I don't even bother. I don't read comments on Instagram.
Everybody's like, oh, they're so overrated. Oh, they're gonna.
I'm not gonna lose. Overrated, but like I just.
Still waiting on something.
I know the two best teams they played, they won both of them, but they barely beat the Ravens. They barely beat the Cowboys.
They still won.
They did
still win.
No, I agree, but I'm just saying.
They got to stop playing down to their competition.
That's my
and
biggest
which
thing
they did this week. They came out and showed their true selves this week.
But that's my biggest thing with them, and they have. They've escaped all of those this year. Where they have had scares against bad teams, but they do that. They have a tendency to do that a lot. Is to play down their competition.
You know what? We're still talking about the NFL. It's not like we say bad teams, but they're never bad teams.
No.
All these guys are made up of 50 of the best players in all of football.
Right? Yeah. But they're just not. There's just levels to be good.
This is the best of the best from college that are most of the time it's because you have a young team, or you have a team full of old guys on veteran contracts. That's what the reality of the NFL is. It's who do you have in their prime, and how much cap space do you have? Can you spend money on doing stuff? And the teams that are good are the ones that can say we had money, we were able to go out and spend. And we got a lot of guys that are right off their rookie contracts.
Yeah.
After you get off that rookie contracts, those guys you can get in that space, those are your best teams. I mean, look at the Steelers. Luckily, they got a lot of guys on rookie contracts, but they have like the veteran linemen, and that is so huge. Mixed with the veteran quarterback, who's still phenomenal.
Yeah.
Veteran offensive line as well.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? I thought you were saying defense line.
Even defensively,
Hayward?
they got a lot of young guys that are turning out to be
their whole defense is pretty much made of first-round draft picks.
Right.
And was Joe Hayden first round?
Headlined.
I think so.
Was Joe Hayden first round pick by the Browns?
I want to say
Probably.
Yeah, for how bad they've been last decade.
Well, I was going to say, that entire defense is probably headlined by your 12-year veteran Cameron Hayward. How long has he been there? 8 years?
Long time he's been there.
8, 9 years, something like that. And he doesn't have to make every play anymore, and that entire defense.
He still pretty much does.
Right, he's does.
There.
If somebody runs if somebody runs up the middle, he's not making the tackle, but he's getting triple teamed. Yeah. In the Watt, Bush, anybody else comes in and makes a tackle.
That's what I was going to say. And now Bush is out. Robert Spillane is this.
Spillane's doing good.
Oh my God!
Who's your other guy at linebacker that I can't think of?
We just brought him in. The guy from the Jets.
From the Jets.
Williamson.
No, I'm thinking of somebody else from your line or something.
Stephon Tuitt. Notre Dame. Bud Dupree.
That's what I'm thinking of. I like him.
Bud, man. Every play I'm like, Bud!
Give me the Bud.
Get in there, Bud! Come on, Bud! It's like a weird country name or something. Come on, Bud! Get back on the horse! Right?
So what do you guys think of the Ravens and Browns vying for that number 2 position? Obviously, that'll
good battle there.
Right?
Good battle. I can't wait to see this rematch, okay? This is a different Browns team.
This is a different Browns team that kicked off the season.
And same thing with Pittsburgh, too. Like
that final game, Browns, Steelers. Could you imagine if that's her first place in the division? Could you just imagine? It probably won't happen.
It probably
more than likely won't be. But could you imagine if it was the biggest rivalry in NFL coming down to one game?
I was thinking about that today. What if the Steelers already have their number 1 seed clinched up? What if they have they have everything need to do in the playoffs? And what if they just play bench guys?
Well, here's the thing. That depends on their record. Because if they're a team that's 14 and
what they're 15 and 0?
If they're 15 and 0, you're playing your starters because you bet your rear end. Mike Tomlin is putting himself in the conversation for best coach of all time.
Yes,
within his 14th season, to be only the 3rd coach to ever go undefeated, along with Bill Belichick and Don Shula, the other 2 best coaches in the NFL history.
Don Shula, the only one winning the Super Bowl, though.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin wants his name.
Patriots lost in the Super Bowl.
Right, you bet your rear end that he wants his name there, and that's it. If you guys are 15 and 0 going into Week 16, you're playing
against the Browns too.
Against the Browns.
Where's the game? Is it in Cleveland?
Yeah.
Is it?
They're just playing Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
It is in Cleveland. It's in Cleveland.
And Mike Tomlin's got a pretty good record in Cleveland, so you might just want to keep that up as well. What do you guys think about the Browns, though?
I think they're doing all right. 6-3. Oh, by the way, everybody saying Pittsburgh's schedule is weak. We still got to go play Baltimore again on Thanksgiving. The Colts are no slouch. They have a winning record, okay? They're saying we're playing everybody
they got some teams coming up, yeah.
They're saying we're playing everybody with losing records. No. We got the Colts, like I said. You got the Ravens coming in. The Browns, okay? The Browns actually have a winning season this year. A winning record, okay? They are not a losing team as of right now.
Hey man, they can still get my 7-9 prediction, right? They still could.
There's one more. There's one more team I forget.
For what?
That we have to play. Oh, the Bills. You gotta go play the Bills.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying like I said, they're 2 best games they played so far against were the Ravens and Titans, and they won.
And we beat them.
And guys, I just want to put this out there. Remember, it really doesn't matter who wins the division because both first and second are getting in, and 3rd place might get a wild.
Yeah. So just playing for getting in.
Right. Pretty much, you're fighting for what playoff position do you want.
Yeah.
Because right now, this is the best division in football.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Oh, yeah.
It's deepest,
we are.
I mean, besides maybe the NFC North?
The NFC
The one with the Seahawks and the Cardinals.
The West.
That's West, okay.
Yeah.
The Rams teams are
they're all tied for first right now. They're all at 6-3.
They just showed on.
Yeah.
The only team that sucks in that division is the Niners.
Right, which is surprising, but they've had so many injuries.
And
it's just
Bosa, Garoppolo.
Right.
So.
Before we move on from. Yeah, let's go ahead. We can move on from the AFC North. Matt, what were you going to say about the Giants?
I want to talk about the Ravens for a second here.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
So I want to bring you guys in on this. Now, with that loss last night, Lamar Jackson's performance in that game, now, are we starting to come on my side a little
I'm not going to... You calling him a bust and you say he sucks.
Not there yet, but closer than you were.
At the beginning of the season, yeah, he came off... But, keep in mind, he still came off an MVP season.
True.
I have him... but you know what? You call him bad. I call him Cam Newton.
Okay.
That's why I was going to go there last night, too.
He's still a better version of Cam Newton.
Yeah, they were running through it last night. I kind of agree with that.
Yeah. I don't know why, but I always find it so weird when Cam Newton runs the ball.
You're right, because he's a big guy.
Yeah.
He's a huge guy that can run.
But it's weird.
I would have Russell Wilson then one step down Lamar Jackson, another step down Cam Newton. That's how I have those three guys kind of tiered out. Because I still think Russell Wilson can do more with the ball than Lamar.
Oh, yeah.
He just doesn't have a defense.
Lamar in space can do anything he wants. If you give Lamar Jackson the ball in space,
look out.
He's unstoppable. Defenses, though, realize if we can press the pocket and don't let him get out, then you force him to throw, and he can still throw great.
That's what.
But when you force him to throw every single play, he's bound to make more mistakes.
Yeah, and that has shown that any team can do that.
Right.
Even New England. I don't know any of those guys except Winovich on defense. I don't know anybody else.
Right.
And then you saw, probably number one defense in Pittsburgh take them down, and they also limited probably one of the best running backs in the game now, Derrick Henry, under 100 yards in a game. So.
Oh, this one's interesting. Coming along, tick at the bottom of the screen. Ron Rivera on Alex Smith. He says he's back as a player and says Smith possibly their long-term guy, which I think is weird because I think he's 36.
Yeah. So
this
screw that franchise.
So saying that, let's just jump right into that division.
The NFC East. All right, there actually is some things to talk about. Okay, before we get into it, this is what pissed me off this weekend. Let me just pull up my stats here. This one pissed me off. I can find it here. So, Chase Young made a bonehead decision.
Yep.
A bad penalty at the end of the game. It would have sent the game to overtime, but he hit Matt Stafford really late on got it rough in the passer call.
I saw it, man.
He laid him out. I mean, it was a light push, but when Chase Young lightly pushes somebody, he's gone.
Yeah.
Chase Young is jacked. And that set up it's still a very long field goal that the Detroit Lions kicker nailed.
Yeah.
It was what?
It looked like it was
a 59-yarder.
It was a knuckleballer. It looked like it was going to stay over the left, but
and afterwards, Twitter was going all over the place, and it was pissing me off. And it was like, oh, Chase Young's a bust. He sucks. This guy is supposed to be better than Nick Bosa. He's awful.
It's 1 year.
Let me finish.
One game.
Can I finish? Let me finish here.
Go ahead.
People are like, oh, he sucks. We need to trade him. He's the worst rookie ever.
Don't read the comments.
That was Instagram, though. This is Twitter. Twitter normally makes some more sense sometimes.
Okay.
But this is all of Twitter being like, Chase Young sucks. I'm like, he's a bust? What? Then I go to looking at stats. I'm like, well, statistically, most quarterback pressures by rookie. Can you guess who's number one?
Chase Young.
Chase Young.
And you're calling him terrible? Against the Giants, there's literally video evidence of him getting triple teamed. He gets triple teamed an NFL rookie is getting triple teamed by offensive linemen. Triple teamed. You know who else getting triple teamed? J.J. Watt.
Yeah.
Nick Bosa. Obviously Nick Bosa had a phenomenal rookie year.
Yeah.
And he was probably the most NFL-ready defensive end we've ever seen. And that was based on the fact that his older brother Joey made it from Ohio State to the NFL and then taught him everything he knew.
Yeah.
And that Bosa family just has so much experience that they have the game perfect. Chase Young came from nothing. He didn't come from an NFL team, NFL stardom.
No.
From his dad and then his brother. He didn't come from that. Chase Young is a self-made product who doesn't have as much skill when it comes to the way he's able to fight off hands. Because he never had to. At Ohio State, you said a hike and he's in the backfield because he was faster.
Ran through everybody.
And just pushed straight through guys. Now that he's getting double teamed and triple teamed, he doesn't have the hand movements to be able to bust through. But that is something you can teach so easily. And that was pissing me off last night. And that's not the only thing he's number one in. Highest graded defensive rookies. Can anybody tell me who's number one in that, as I just said?
What was the question again?
Who's the highest graded defensive rookie this year? I just want to hear somebody say this.
Chase Young.
Chase Young.
Chase Young.
And it's not even close, actually.
Who's second?
Fuller from the Rams.
Oh, I don't even know who that is.
I believe that's Jordan Fuller from Ohio State. Maybe. It might be a different Fuller, though.
Maybe.
Actually, I think it's Kendall Fuller. I don't remember which Fuller this
is.
But number one, Chase Young. He's got a rating of 82. Second place is a rating of 72.
Who's third?
It is Wharton from the Chiefs, who has a rating of 71.9. So first and second place are separated by 0.5. Second and first place are separated by 10. Don't go in and tell me Chase Young can't get it done.
I agree with you.
That was ridiculous.
I don't know much to add to that.
Ridiculous.
Something
man.
just popped in my mind. Are we done talking about the NFC East?
No, let's talk. You want to talk Cowboys, didn't you?
There's really nothing to say.
Giants.
Talk Giants, okay.
So, people were saying, hey, they might have a chance to come back and win the division. That division's wide
That's
open.
because it's so bad.
Yeah, but
the Cowboys could still win it.
That would be hilarious. So you'd see the Giants win it.
I mean, Washington could still win it. Every team has a chance because it's so pathetic.
What do you guys think about Alex Smith in Washington, though? I mean, obviously,
he's strong, man.
Yeah, he's putting up some decent numbers.
But
he's lacking to put up touchdowns.
Yeah.
Which was the biggest complaint with Dwayne Haskins, was he wasn't throwing any touchdowns. Put up 200, 300 yards, but no touchdowns.
I don't have nothing to say about that franchise. They just made no sense.
Yeah.
I hope they fail. Actually, one thing I want to talk about Alex Smith. Who do you guys think wins Comeback Player of the Year right now? Big Ben or Alex Smith?
Ben.
Probably Big Ben because he's done
Alex
more.
Smith has the better story, but Big Ben is playing a lot better.
He's done more.
Yeah.
He's playing fantastic.
We'll talk about that at the end of the season when we get another ring. And Alex Smith is still sitting at home.
Don't get too cocky, buddy.
He's still sitting at home icing.
Matt, you know what's going to happen? You're going to go 16-0 and you're going to lose in week 1.
To the Raiders, probably. Yeah.
Right. You're going to lose week 1 you're going to lose week 1 to the Giants. No! Yes, you're going to lose week 1 to the Giants.
How's that going to happen?
No, to the football team.
Oh, football team. Something, whatever. I don't care how it's going to happen. You're going to lose week 1 to some nobody piece of crap team.
Week 1?
Of the playoffs.
Yeah. How are we going to lose to the Giants?
Look, they're in the NFC. I don't know how the playoffs are going to work this year, but it's going to happen, okay?
No.
Let's see. Wait, who's the worst team in the AFC that can make the title? That can make the playoffs right now?
I don't know.
I hope you guys lose the Dolphins. Maybe. No, because they're 6-3. There's got to be a lower team.
I don't even know. I haven't checked.
Keep talking.
The Colts? No, they're up there. Who would probably be second place in that division? Who's second place in the Colts division?
I'm
Tennessee.
No.
It's Tennessee and Indianapolis in that division. The two other teams stink.
I don't know.
Two other teams are the Texans and the Jaguars. They both stink.
New England?
They could still make it.
They could still make it.
We're at the point now.
Tennessee's
if any team wins out from now, they can make it. That's
Tennessee's on the outside looking in. The 8 seed. It's 8 teams, right?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not exactly
Browns
sure.
are the last team right there.
Yeah. It's all confusing right now. I can never remember.
It is.
All right, I think that's just about all we got for the NFL. Unless you guys got anything else you want to add?
I want to talk about just for a little bit. So Seattle Seahawks. I don't want to talk about their defense because there's nothing really there. Okay, their offense though, down 2 running backs. Chris Carson's out and
Hyde's been out. Those guys have been out for weeks at this point.
What do they do? Do they bring back Marshawn Lynch like what they did last year?
No.
Because it's been in talks a little bit.
No, who cares? They're not going to bring in anybody like that. There's enough guys elsewhere that they can bring in. They don't need to bring in some 30-plus-year-old.
Bring in a solid guy that can get it done.
Bring in a rookie. You know how many rookies there are that aren't starting on other teams that you could trade for? There's so many. And I think a serious person people need to start looking at is the backup running back. Oh, Philip Lindsay is good. I like him.
Me too.
Potentially could get traded. But no, Tony Pollard from the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I love
because he's been backing up Zeke, and he's putting up some good numbers behind Zeke.
Well, what if they trade Zeke and keep Pollard there?
Which is possible.
That's possible. That's because it kind of talks about happening.
Okay, so I want to say something about Zeke real quick. Because there's been a lot of people saying, oh, he's a bust, he sucks.
He's not a bust.
He's not a bust and he doesn't suck, but I just don't
he
can't carry an offense.
Can I say this? What were you guys expecting to happen? He's been in the league, 4 or 5 years now?
Everybody has a down year.
Hold on. How many years has he been in the league?
4 or 5.
4 or 5.
2016 rookie.
Yeah. Okay, so let me continue. Zeke Elliott's been in the league 4 or 5 years. What's the average length of a running back's career? 4 to 5 years.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so you're telling me this guy's out of this prime. That's expected. He's still one of the best running backs in the league.
Oh, yeah.
He's still putting up good numbers, but now their offensive line sucks. They have no throwing game.
No Frederick.
Travis Frederick, yeah.
There's no one to take attention away from the running game because the passing game sucks. If you can't throw the ball, then you have to run the ball. If the defense knows you're running the ball, they can load the box, load the line, and when you have no offensive line, then they can't create holes. And then you can't run the ball no matter who's back there.
Not only has Frederick retired, even though he did retire, I thought their offensive line would still be kind of decent. But they've had injuries. They're playing guys that shouldn't have been playing. I mean, their best offensive line right now is Zach Martin. He's been hurt for a couple games. I mean, I'll give Zeke that. I mean, I'm not saying he stinks or anything. I'm just saying, I mean, nobody's going to be that great when you're
offensive line. He's having the typical running back career. Not everybody is Frank Gore.
Yeah.
No.
Not everybody's playing till you're 35. That's just, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Not everybody's Adrian Peterson and can go and go.
Yeah.
I mean, Zeke can go that long. But he won't be putting up 2,000-yard seasons. No. It just doesn't happen.
How old is he? Is he like 25? He's still 20.
He's 24, 25.
Yeah.
But, so he can play, but people need to stop expecting him to always be at the top. Because you're an older running back at this point. You've been there for 4 or 5 years. You've taken hundreds of hits.
Same thing with Barkley. I mean,
he's younger.
He's younger, but, I mean... They don't have an offensive line. Giants don't have an offensive line. But that's probably the reason why he's hurt. Don't have an offensive line.
I mean, the issue with Saquon, he's going to go down as a bust based on injuries.
That's
much like, what was it, Greg Oden in basketball?
Yeah. Greg Oden or Lamar Oden?
Lamar Oden, yeah. I mean, he was expected to be one of the best NBA players of all time, and then he got injured all the time. And he just ended up going down as a bust. Yeah. It was almost the same thing that happened to Derrick Rose if he didn't have his one MVP.
Yeah.
That should have gone to LeBron anyway. But, regardless, this is the NFL we're talking about. I mean, running backs aren't expected to stick around long, and I'm tired of people expecting them to stand around for 10 years like a quarterback, because a quarterback takes about a tenth of as many hits as a running back does in a single game. We're worried about a quarterback getting sacked more than twice. A running back runs the ball 25 times. He gets hit every single time.
Well, that might change in this age, more mobile quarterbacks, like Lamar Jackson.
But even Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray, they're still not taking 25 hits a game because they're not... Coaches are not allowing them to run the ball as much as they did in college.
Exactly.
Because you got to protect these guys going up against a guy that's been in the league for 10 years who's trying to go for your head still, like it's the 90s.
Sure.
Especially in the AFC North with the Steelers' defense.
No.
That's my thoughts on everything going on. Guys got anything else for the NFL?
That's all I got.
Okay, let's talk about the MLB. The awards were announced. We're going to just run down those pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Shockingly, Jose Ramirez came in second in the AL for the MVP.
I was surprised Brady won it, to be honest.
Yeah!
What?
Nothing stunk or anything. I just thought...
What did you say?
Jose Abreu. We're surprised that Abreu won.
I thought you said Freddie. I'm like, Freddie, what?
I mean, not that
you said Brady. I'm like, Brady? Who's Brady?
Not that he stinks or anything.
Jose Abreu won it for the AL.
I just thought it was between DJ LeMahieu or Jose Ramirez.
Yeah. I mean, Abreu...
I mean the White Sox had a good year. Abreu did have a good year.
Yeah.
I mean, the White Sox were good this year, but I just didn't think he
NL Freddie Freeman won it for the Braves.
It's not surprising.
Go ahead, Matt.
Freddie Freeman is probably one of my favorite baseball players.
Okay. I thought you were about the down talking.
No, I love Freddie Freeman. I was on Fanatics the other night looking at jerseys, okay? like I love Freddie Freeman.
That's not surprising he won. Yeah, it wasn't surprising at all.
No, he deserves this.
Yeah.
And he deserved to go to the World Series, but no. They lost.
Here's my favorite ones. The Cy Young. Ohio pulls off the sweep.
Yes!
Shane Bieber wins it for the AL, and Trevor Bauer wins it for the NL.
Yep.
Former Indian, who I still like.
Former Indian this season, and only played less than half the season.
Yeah.
Huh?
We don't know where he's going to go in free agency either. He's going to stay in Cincinnati or go. I mean, we don't know.
I want him to stay in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. But I love that one.
Yeah.
Indians, or Cleveland, or just Ohio. Sweeping the Cy Young. Rookie of the Year, Kyle Lewis from the Mariners won it for the AL, and Devin Williams from the Brewers for the NL. Brewers putting together a pretty good team out there.
Can I say something? And this isn't biased at all.
Go ahead.
And I know he only played they played 6 games.
Oh, you about to say some guy from Pittsburgh should have won it? No, not one.
Let him say it.
Can I please get to my point?
Go ahead.
I'm not saying he should have won it, but to me, the fact that Brian Hayes was not in the top 3 for that voting is just it's wrong. I mean, and he's probably the favorite to win it next year. But the fact that he wasn't in the top 3 in the NL Rookie of the Year voting is just mind-blowing.
Wait, did you say a guy in his second year is favored to win the Rookie of the Year?
Well, he only played 40 games, so next year he's still a rookie.
Wait, he played 4 games and you're saying
40?
They played 6. You said he played 4 games. Like, he played 4 games. What? Where are you arguing for that? I don't know, Mike. I don't know about that one, Mike.
You guys didn't watch him.
Nobody watched
You guys
the
didn't
Pirates.
even see
the
the
Pirates
stats.
fans didn't even watch
Who
the
won
Pirates.
Manager of the Year? Next.
Manager of the Year, Kevin Cash from the Rays, and Don Mattingly of the Marlins.
I
That's not
love Kevin
surprising.
Cash, Cleveland ties. He was a bullpen coach for the Indians from 13 to 14. He was on the World Series. I think he was on the World Series.
One of the Red Sox.
No,
teams,
he was
wasn't
he was with the Red Sox
Yeah.
when Francona was there, and I think it was 07.
Yeah.
But I like Kevin Cash and Don Mattingly, but the career Yankee player.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well, that's going to wrap up Major League Baseball. Unless you guys got anything else you want to talk about in the offseason.
no.
Just
All right, so
rumors going
we'll
on.
wait for MLB stuff to kick back up
Yeah.
in a couple of months. Expect that in the next year of podcasts. And now, for probably one of our most favorite segments,
Yes.
we have a very special award to give out. This one may be a little controversial this week, just based on who it was. And some people might find a little bit of a surprise. We had some difficulties finding the guy this week.
Yeah.
But, without any further ado, this week's Meathead of the Week.
Meathead of the Week this week. And, I have his jersey in my closet. I love him. But,
We
man,
all love him.
Kevin Porter Jr. of the Cleveland Cavaliers. He was arrested on a weapons charge in Mahone County.
Not far at all.
Yeah,
Not
not
far.
in Youngstown.
Yeah.
Where was it? They said that they've spoken to him following his weapons charge. He was a first-round draft pick. Faces an improperly handling a firearm in a vehicle. Now, what does that mean? Like,
Probably means the guy someone in the car had it. If it was his or not, regardless, he probably pulled it out of a glove box or something.
yeah.
And was just like, oh, I gotta go, pew, pew, pew.
Just like nothing. Yeah.
Right, being just, he's a teenager, he's 20 years old.
He was.
What do you do if you have a gun in a car? You're like, oh man, look at that, I'm so cool.
I don't know if I'd do it with it.
I don't know.
I'm a Cavs guy, baby.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are from more rural areas, so
Yeah.
like, you're out in the middle of nowhere. You guys used to more guns. Give some city guy a gun. He's probably like, oh man, look at this thing, and he probably picks it up and is looking at it as they drive past a cop.
Like it's nothing. Yeah.
Right. He probably wasn't doing anything from it,
It was-
because obviously police reports aren't always public knowledge. He probably picked the gun out of a glove box or something and was like, oh, this is pretty cool, as they drove past the gun. It was probably really crappy timing.
Yeah.
But meathead of the week, anytime a player gets arrested, it's like, well, okay, well.
He was released on a $4,000 bond. Where does it say? He then was later released. He was issued a summons for a petty offense and released. And they're gathering more information about that.
Hopefully it's nothing too big or serious, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like they're going to suspend him
not
for a
like
year.
Yeah.
He might receive just a 1-month suspension from the Cavs or
Yeah.
something, just as a disciplinary
Yeah, probably
action.
from the team, not the
Yeah.
league.
Right, it'll be a team suspension, if anything. Moving on, casual sports report games of the week. So, Thursday night football for the NFL. The Cardinals and the Seahawks, 8:20 on
What
Fox.
a game that's going to be. Woo! How about,
Can't wait.
okay, wait. You don't have it. You don't have it. The Sunday night game next week. This week.
What is it?
Raiders Chiefs again?
Oh, well,
That could-
I didn't
That
have
should
another-
be a good game.
It'll be a good game, but I didn't. I
Raiders
picked
always
that
beat
one
them?
last time, so.
Okay, that's true. All right, go ahead. Continue.
All right, so Sunday, I still did pick a game on Sunday for the NFL. NFL gets 2 this week. Titans and Ravens, 6-3, 1 p.m. on CBS.
So that could be a changing game here if the Browns win, and they play a pretty. They play the Eagles.
They play the Eagles. The Browns should win.
So if the Browns win and Ravens lose to the Titans, who are very capable of doing
Browns will become
that,
second place of the AFC North.
That's true. So
Then
Hey.
college football. Obviously, not only 2 sports on right now. We got college football and NFL. So college football gets my next 2 games of the week. On Saturday at noon, big noon kickoff on Fox. Number 9 Indiana at number 3 Ohio State. This is expected. If you want to hear me break that down, go listen to Breakdown on Friday when that comes out.
go
Should be.
Hoosiers! I'm gonna watch the movie Hoosiers this week. Maybe we'll give some hope.
You want to hear my hot take? Hoosiers is a terrible movie.
Hey, no, that is one of the best basketball
It
movies
is
of all
not
time.
one of the best
Then
movies.
what is? What's the best basketball movie? What are you gonna say? Thunderstruck?
Glory Road.
All right, that is the best. But it's one of the best.
It's because nobody makes basketball movies. Because they're all stereotypical.
They make a lot of baseball movies.
Is pretty good. I think The Way Back might be better than Hoosiers. We went and saw Way Back in the theaters.
Oh, that movie sucked.
That was alright. Dude,
that was such a stereotypical movie. Oh, we have a drunken head coach. Have you seen it? He comes running in at the end. It was such a stereotype movie. It sucked.
I was laughing so hard. It was story time. What? Make your final game of the week thing.
Okay, number 14, Oklahoma State goes into Bedlam with number 18, Oklahoma. 7:30 on ABC. That should be a good game.
Oh, shit.
I'll break that one down as well on Breakdown.
All right, so story time. We should actually make this a segment since we make stories all the time on the show.
So
Alec and I went and saw this movie Way Back. This was a night where
this is before COVID and everything.
Yeah, this is when it was happening.
Yeah.
In the movie theater, both of our phones were going
off. We were the only
ones.
Shut
them
down. This was the night of the NBA shutdown.
Yeah, OKC canceled their game. And then on the drive home, they said, "All right, no more NBA. It's over. We're not doing it." I'll give
you the rundown of what happened with the NBA afterwards.
Yeah. So we're sitting watching this movie. It's not a bad movie, okay? It's Ben Affleck in it.
Yeah, can I give you the reason why I didn't like it though? Because I swear, a month prior, I rented a movie on demand, and it was the exact same storyline made 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It was I was going to watch the exact same movie. We watched the movie, and then afterwards, I called Mom. I'm like, Mom, didn't we just watch this?
So I don't know if the movie was about alcoholism or high school basketball. The opening scene shows Ben. Sorry to spoil it. I mean, the movie's been out for a while,
and it sucked anyway. It never made any national.
So the opening scene shows Ben Affleck going to work on a construction site, and he pours vodka in his little thermos.
Right.
So,
all this movie shows was he was an alcoholic. Then he recovers at the end, and everyone gets the woohoo moment.
Yeah. When they approach him to be the coach, he's like, "Oh, let me think about it," and he drinks a 30-pack to think about it.
The guy walks up, he keeps 2 beers in his fridge, one in the freezer, one in the fridge.
Yeah.
He takes the one out of the freezer and puts the other beer in. That's how you know someone's an alcoholic, because he can drink that beer before it pops in the freezer.
So one of the scenes was, it's after spoiler, he gets fired.
Who cares? Everyone knows. It's a spoiler from here on out.
He goes on one of the many drunken binges, and he goes in. He picks up a woman, and he's like, she's like, come into the back way of the house. And the guy goes into the wrong house. Sounds
awful.
I was laughing so hard at this point. The guy, the owner of the house comes out. He's like, "What is going on?" Someone's in the house, and the guy's in there peeing in his toilet.
Right.
That movie just ended bad.
It wasn't a terrible movie, but I had already seen the movie in the same storyline in a different movie 2 years prior.
It was funny.
And then funny. That was a funny kind. That's why we would probably remember it so much. The NBA shut down that night.
Yeah.
So we're driving home from the theaters. You're taking me back to campus, and I'm looking down at my phone. I go, Matt. The NFL just canceled the NBA just canceled the rest of the season.
I'm like, what?
And you're like, what? What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, they're shutting down because of COVID. And then we finally get back to my apartment. You take off going back to your house. I'm sitting in my apartment watching the games. And, what was it, Pelicans?
Yeah. Pelicans versus the Thunder?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Pelicans didn't come out on the floor. There was kind of this eerie feel. I'm just sitting there watching. And then they announced, this game has been canceled. Please leave the building. When everyone was kind of like, what? Then later that night, final game, brought to you by Doris Burke. She was the broadcaster. I don't know why I remember her being the broadcaster from it, because she was just talking. She's pretty good when it comes to that. It was the Dallas Mavericks against somebody. That was the final game of the season.
That's who it was, yeah.
Yeah, well, Dallas played.
Dallas played?
Yeah,
Pelicans did.
I remember it was Dallas because I remember Mark Cuban saying something about it.
Right. Yeah, that was just crazy.
Yeah, it was.
Well, I think, unless someone else wants a story time, we're 2 hours and 4 minutes into this.
Oh, God.
Do you guys want another story time?
No, I got nothing.
All right. That's going to do it for this week of the Casual Sports Podcast, brought to you by Casual Sports Report. Make sure to like the video, share to everybody else. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Spotify, and Anchor at Casual Sport Report. Keep checking us out. Thanks for tuning in for this long episode. And we will see you all next time. I'm Alec Caberna.
I'm Matt Morrison.
I'm Mike Wolfgang.
Stay healthy. See you next week.